It all begins with light, a body rising, a soul remembering. You came here encoded with your truth, timing, and purpose. There's no more searching, no more wondering, only returning. This is what illumination feels like. This is your divine design. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's been Jordan, I think it's been about 9 months. I went back and checked. Our last Let's Talk was number 20, and it says about 8 months ago. So this is definitely special for me, and I wanted to let all of you know, the audience listening, is that this was our typical let's just do a podcast last minute. Jordan reached out just yesterday, right? Or today? Was it? I don't know. Was it yesterday or today?
Yeah.
So we're just following our typical pattern of let's do it last minute, and here we are. So if you're new here, just realize you're not going to see our faces. I know, where some of you kind of like, I don't trust that person because I can't see them. I'm not poking fun, but I am. That's my dry humor. But you can see us. We're in the phone booth. So on the right is me in Mexico, and then Jordan somewhere, I don't know where he's at, but he's in the phone booth to the left. So we're talking, man. And this is Let's Talk. So I'm really jazzed to be here, and let's get started, man. What do you want to get into?
Man, let's just talk about whatever.
Yeah.
I appreciate you. I wanted to just say I'm grateful for your friendship, and I can't believe it's been 9 months since we last spoke. That's unbelievable.
Right?
It's way too long.
Yeah.
It's way too long.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I think it was that time period last podcast from 19 to 20. So, but if you're here, ladies and gentlemen, watching the comments, this is live. This is not a recording unless you're watching it after March 9th. Right now it's 8:34 p.m. Central Standard Time, 9:34 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you're watching it now, it's live. If you're watching it after that, it's going to be recorded. Okay? So I got the comments open. So if you have any questions, I'll try to get to some of the questions. Jordan and I kind of get on our rants and tangents. We like to talk. So what do you think the first topic of conversation we should talk about, Jordan?
Man, when was the last time we spoke? I'm trying to think of what was the theme. Do you remember what was the main theme?
I don't, man. I don't remember what it was. Yeah. I wish I would have prepared for that. Like, I wish I would have went back and looked.
It's all good. Like, I was just thinking about how like wild the world has gotten in just the past couple weeks, you know? So, I mean, maybe let's just start locally. Like, what's been going on in your world past couple weeks? I mean, the last week has been spicy, you know?
Sure.
Lots of World War talk.
Sure.
So what's your take on that? What's your take on how this is gonna develop further? Do you believe this is like the official start of World War III, or do you feel this is just gonna be a little blink in, you know, a much larger chapter of the book? Or how are you feeling about right now?
Well, you know what's crazy? Somebody today asked me, hey, how about doing a World War III decode? And and I was like, I already did one. I did one. And you know what's crazy, dude? Number of the beast in Chaldean numerology is 68, and World War I and World War II both have numerologies of 68. And then lo and behold, I go and look at my World War III presentation, and the freaking numerology date is 68. It's so crazy, and I didn't plan it like that. that's how, it's just so crazy, man. Today it was like monumental for me. So anyway, that's kind of just to get that craziness out of the way. It's coming, man. I mean, how can it not be? All these countries are already getting involved. I think it's just a matter of time.
Today's the 68th day of the year, by the
Oh,
way.
there you go. The 16th day of the year. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Did you not know that?
I didn't. No, see. So
Okay. See,
yeah.
there you go, family.
See?
Like it's amazing. I
Yeah.
love it. I love the code.
I love it too, man. Scripted reality. I got to get somebody's voiceover to do scripted reality. Got to get that recorded. And so if you have a voice and you can do that voiceover, man, I'm all ears. If you're a professional voiceover person, I'd love to have somebody do that. I don't know, but anyway, it started off with Venezuela getting invaded by the U.S. on January 3rd, and what was amazing about that day, well, not amazing, I shouldn't say that, but what was interesting about that day, not only was it the Genesis Block Zero of Bitcoin's release, but it was the Jack of Spades day, and this year in the French Gregorian system is the Jack of Spades year, the Knight of Swords, which is a card of revolution, attack. You could say in a big way this is the second coming of Christ, because we have a 26, we have a 226, which is a raw radium element, and we know that Christ is tied to Ra. So, the U.S. invading Venezuela, I personally think it was to grab their resources and their oil, and at the same time take a regime change. And now you have then you had Mexico getting in kind of their own war with the cartel war. I almost got stuck in Puerto Vallarta. I missed going there just due to my circumstances personally, but I had friends that got stuck there a couple weeks ago. And now what's going on the world stage. So, yeah, a lot of big numbers. What about you?
Yeah, man.
What do you see? What are you feeling?
I mean, you brought up the 66 code, and I do the same when I'm decoding. I always like tell people when you're getting into decoding, it's best to like speak numbers out, especially with double digits. So
Yeah.
the 66 power number, it becomes two sixes, as Logan was saying. And I was covering this yesterday when I was filming my Red Pill podcast for the week, and Trump's birthday and September 11th this year have a 66 double digit date numerology. And the reason that's significant is because his birthday is also tied to the equinox by 2 months and 26 days. So we have the upcoming vernal equinox on March 20th. Tied to his birthday is 226 code. We're in the 226 year. And the recent year of the horse decode that I did, which we should definitely talk a lot about that, because that was a pretty big conversation for us last year in the dragon year. But
Yeah.
anyways, sorry, the snake year, apologies. But getting back to this 226 code and that year of the horse decoded that I did, I realized that there's a lot of connections to this year and the year 2029. And it started to just unravel from me going through a bunch of connections happening in Hollywood, such as the Terminator movie, and how the Terminator movie starts with this, thing coming from the year 2029 back to 1984. And then you had the show Stranger Things being themed in the year 1984. Then we have the famous 1984 novel. And how everything has kind of come to be for the experience that we're having right now here in 2026, and the upcoming Shemitah year going through the year 2029, Trump's official last year of being president, since the following inauguration for whomever the next president will be like January 20th of 2029. So there's like a lot going on, and I could go much deeper, but to just keep it really simple, I realized that between the equinox and Trump's birthday is 2 months and 26 days. So you have the 226 code for this year. His birthday has the 66 double digit date numerology.
Yep.
And then on top of that, his birthday connects to September 11th by 2 months and 29 days. So there's your 229 code for the year 2029. And the reason I'm isolating September 11th isn't only because of that event that happened, but it's because it's Rosh Hashanah. And we have him directly tied to Israel with all of this World War III nonsense going on. So it's unbelievable how coded this man is into stuff going on with the Hebrew calendar and plenty of other things that we could definitely get into. But it feels like the U.S. is in this precarious position with the World Cup coming up. It'll be during the lunar month of the horse. in the Chinese system. His birthday is in the lunar month of the horse in the Chinese system, and 4th of July will be in the lunar month of the horse. And that's important because we're about to have the 250th anniversary of the United States this year. And we're also going to have the 25th anniversary of 9/11.
Mm.
So that is very powerful stuff, whilst he's this figurehead and this kind of talking head on the world stage.
Wow, so that's a lot to take in. Great connections, Jordan, with those numbers. You know, I mean, I honestly, and I actually probably shouldn't even say it. I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna say what my prediction is. But yeah, he's not well, dude.
Go for it.
He's not
Go
well.
for
He's
it.
not well. He's not well, and he's. I mean, I don't follow the mainstream really. You know, like I do watch it from time to time, just to kind of start looking at decodes and whatnot. But I really don't purposely watch it because I don't want to have the influence. But
Yeah, I'm the same.
But it's so funny because he was always making fun of a lot of Sleepy Joe, we would call him, and now he's literally following in the footsteps. He's literally having like what seems to be dementia, and a lot of people think he had a stroke.
Mhm.
You know, and he disappeared for a while. So I think JD Vance is going to move in that position this year, but this is a very loose prediction, and it doesn't matter if I'm wrong, but I think that that's a very good possibility. And you're talking about a guy who's, I mean, his birthday's in August. He'll be 42, so literally almost half the age of Trump moving in. You know, and that's a young
Yeah.
cat moving into the
That
presidential
would make him the
position.
youngest president ever, of
I
course,
think
right?
so. Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah, because I think what was it? Obama was the youngest, and
Yeah,
he was like,
46,
I don't remember
I
how
think.
old.
Yeah, yeah, or 50
Okay.
something. Yeah, I don't remember
Yeah, I
either.
would.
But yeah, but JD Vance coming in, he's a Jack of Diamonds too, and the Jack of Diamonds is the card of the United States of America. So that's a big marker. But
Wow.
Trump's card spread for his birthday for this year, it doesn't look very forgiving at all. You know, I mean, come on, he's gonna be 80 in June.
Yep.
You know, to think
Yeah, and
that's who's
there's something
controlling.
pretty powerful about him being 79 right now, you
Yeah,
know,
gold,
like with
baby.
the connection to gold and the gold breakout that we're seeing and the golden age concept and the golden visa concept that he came up with. Like there's so much of that spell casting with gold. Sorry to cut you off.
No, it's good. I appreciate the engagement. No, absolutely. So I don't know. I don't know if he's going to last this year. And I don't, like I said, I'm saying that as an opinion of mine. It's not a fact. And I'm just merely saying that just because what I'm looking at with the card system and the systems that I use, and then you know kind of tying it all together with logic and discernment, seeing what's going on in the world stage, and then kind of going from there. But you know, God, I can't see us. I can't see the world not officially moving into World War III. I had thrown the dates out there that, you know, you said today's the 68th day. March 19th has got a numerology of 68. 3 plus 19 plus 2026 is 68. And then it would be April 18th. That'd be another 68. So again, the First World War has a numerology of 68. Second World War, numerology of 68. You would think that the Third World War, if there is such a thing, will be a numerology of 68. So time will tell. But those are the dates to look at: March 19th, April 18th, and May 17th. Those are the 68 numerology dates.
Yeah. Powerful, man. People need to be reminded that when Logan says 68 date numerology, he's talking about a double digit date numerology. So that would be for March 19th, for example, you would add 19 to 3. And for 2026, you would add 20 to 26.
Yep.
So that might confuse people
Yeah.
because it's not a standard date numerology and it's not like a life path where you reduce it below 10, for example, or he's not talking about the master numbers or anything like that. So yeah, this is a very intricate system, but it's funny that he brings it up because it's my favorite form of doing date numerology personally with my work, with the work that I do, which is typically not isolated to people. It's mostly world events, markets, etc. So it's great to see you. It's great to see you utilizing that because there is quite a we'll call it a coincidence that World War One, World War Two, Vietnam, the Russia-Ukraine invasion, it all has this 68 double-digit date numerology. The Yom Kippur War connection, it was on October 6th, the October,
Yep.
8th
Yep.
true month in the system.
Yep.
So they love this number. And even in English slang, we have this concept, like we have this thing where we're like, we say 86th it, like if you work in the restaurant industry, when you run out of something, when
Yep.
it's out of stock. So that connection to March 19th is powerful. One other thing to mention about March 19th, Logan, I don't know if you realize this, but if you connect March 19th, 2026 to the official first day that World War One started,
Mm.
which was July 28th in 1914,
1914. Yeah.
it's exactly one. This is fucking mind-blowing. So whoever's listening right now, this is seriously crazy. It's exactly 111 years, 33 weeks, and 3 days.
Yeah, those are some those are some serious numbers right there, man.
Right.
Those are
So
some serious numbers.
that's wild,
Yeah.
bro.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Yep. Well,
what else in your system makes you feel like this World War Three is tied to this particular were you saying this particular year, or do you just like, we're gonna look back on this and it's gonna be just like a World War One situation where we didn't call it World War One when it was happening.
hmm
We didn't call it World War Two technically when it was happening. It took some time, but so are you saying that um that these recent events are pretty much cementing like what history will call World War Three?
yeah, they'll backdate it. You know, it'll probably get backdated. But maybe it'll just be March 19th or April 18th or May 17th. There's some big layers astrologically. Mars right now conjunct on March 19th. Mars conjunct with Mercury, and if you look at the number 6 and 8, and you just kind of synchronize it with the 12 houses of astrology, you have Virgo, the snake, which is Mercury, and you have Scorpio, which is Mars, traditionally. So you literally have Mars and Mercury conjunct in Aquarius, right at the area of when Aquarius is pouring the water out, around the 19th of March, like within the next couple, right around your birthday. Right around your birthday,
Yeah.
Mars and Mercury will be conjunct with the moon, by the way, too. The moon will be there as well. So these astrological placements are pretty big. And then Saturn and the Sun are going to be conjunct right around the spring equinox in Pisces. Cetus the whale, Pisces. So these are other big markers because the Sun and Saturn represent the hot and cold, if you will, right? The Saturn being the farthest from the Sun in the traditional lineup of the planets, the ones you can see. So, yeah. So these are really big markers, man, astrologically, or I should say astronomy-wise. And then,
Right.
And then you still have Uranus and Taurus, which is kind of the disruption of finances. The revolution of finances. That's why you're going to have crypto. I would think crypto coming in. I just don't see. Maybe I'll ask you this, because you know more about this than I do. But there's this big push on, gold and silver and platinum, and
Yep.
I just don't personally see them lasting as high as they are right now. I don't see their value lasting that way once they switch over to the digital system. I just see them kind of crashing. What do you think on that?
Yeah, there's a couple of things to unpack here. Before we go there, I wanna blow people's minds a little bit more with this World War One connection, because it was the year of the horse.
Oh shit!
In 1918.
Yeah, dude. Well,
So 1918 was the year of the horse, and we're in the year of the horse right now.
Yeah,
And,
if you go to the year 1318, check this out. If you go to the year 1318, it's the horse. It's the horse, right? Now, why are those numbers special? Because Revelation 13 verses 18 is the number of the beast. The number of the beast, 1318, is tied to the year 1318, which was the year of the horse.
Wild. And you want to know something else that's crazy? The day, like if you connect this year to 1939, when World War II started, it was 86 years ago.
Oh,
Like,
that
I give
money.
up, bro. I'm quitting the video game.
Yeah,
This is
man.
crazy, bro.
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
fucking
Well, I
crazy.
mean, we're all making the connections now, those of us that are here. And the more people that I've often said, we're all kind of decoding ourselves home. And the more
Yeah.
you observe the code and put the pieces of the puzzle together, it gets bigger and stronger and it completes
Yeah.
itself. We're literally
Well,
helping the code complete itself.
we talked about this last year too, and recently people have been saying they were like, Waters, you were off by a year with your thesis about the year of the snake and the US going to war. And I'm like, did you forget what happened in July last year?
Mm.
Where Trump was swinging the big one, talking about bombing an Iranian military base? I mean, are we going to forget that? So it's not about me being right. I don't give a fuck about being right. This is human lives that we're talking about here. Like I want to be wrong. If we're gonna talk about war, I want to always be wrong. Always.
For sure.
Like, because soldiers are one thing. It's another thing when it's women, children. People that are like, what? So when you're getting civilian cities bombed, that we're seeing right now, like, we need to return back to our humanity here and remind ourselves like what we're in the business of. So that's I'm never gonna dislocate from that, and I would love to be wrong when it comes to these things, but there's trigger events, and that was clearly a direct trigger event. And last year I spoke a lot about this number 68 and 86 connection because a big part of my decode for the snake year was the war concept. Every single time the United States goes into war in these big events like World War One, World War Two, when they went to Vietnam, the invasion of Afghanistan, etc., it's always during a snake year.
Hmm.
So is the snake year the worst year? Not necessarily, but it's when they start, when it becomes official
Yep.
that all this peace talk is absolute bullshit. And that's clearly the case today. So the trigger events were back last year.
Yep.
And one of my favorite things was from Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett actually retired, and part of him, like, I guess technically retiring, was doing this big Berkshire Hathaway event. And he was asked his opinion on Trump with regards to the tariffs, which were going on last year. And his response to it was the way that he's doing tariffs, or the way that anyone really does tariffs, is an act of war. So the war actually started from that.
Mm-hmm.
And when you start looking deeper into like why did they do what they did with Maduro, it's because of oil. Like it's an act of war. However you want to look at it. Like you don't need to necessarily bomb a place or put soldiers on the ground to do what we call, you know, even like infiltrating Europe with refugees. That's an act of war.
Yeah, of
They
course.
know what that
Of
creates.
course.
So, anyways, but we do want to return back to your question about my take on silver and gold, and I agree with you, but I think right now we're dealing with something that also might help with your thesis of where gold and silver will be in the future, and it has to deal with the vision of tokenizing everything,
Yep.
which means silver and gold will be. So, like right now, the biggest problem with silver and gold is that take your gold coin and try to go to a restaurant with it, and they're gonna look at you like, what the fuck are you trying to pay with? Like, they have no, what are they gonna do? Take a chisel out and
Yeah,
like
the
cut
pawn
off
shop's down the
a
street, buddy.
gram?
Yeah, the pawn shop's down the street.
Exactly. Like, so in that way, gold and silver have never been useful, like in that particular regard, because it hasn't been a way to transact. And people always talk about how like the elite have a bunch of. I don't really think you understand that. Like the elite aren't using silver and gold. What the elite use to transact, which blows a lot of people's minds, is art.
Mm,
That's how they get away with all the human trafficking and crazy shit that they do. It's with
mm,
art.
mm.
So if you guys want to know the truth of how the elite move money around, it's not with cash, it's not with Bitcoin, it's not with Monero, it's not with silver and gold. It's with art. That's who art is for, anyways. It's not for us. Like, anywho, side concept, but to go a little bit deeper into answering your question, I think when gold and silver get tokenized, where you can get fractions of like for example, you can have as much dollars as you want in gold and you could play the game, but you don't need to buy an exact increment of it in ounces or grams or kilos. You'll just be able to get whatever you want. You could put $1,000 in gold and then you'll just have whatever fraction of that gold amount is. I don't necessarily think that that is going to get hijacked. I think that's the grand plan, but that's going to happen to everything, brother. That's going to happen to wheat. That's going to happen to oil. That's going to
All
happen
the
to housing, real estate. It's
commodities.
everything. Everything will be tokenized.
Yeah, yeah.
Then that makes way for a different conversation, which is like, okay, well, does that make gold now easier to get into? Well, of course. But does that also hijack their grand plan of like what they have set up for crypto and central bank digital currencies and all of that other stuff that they're clearly going to implement, and they will for sure. So from a speculation perspective, that's the concept of it crashing and not holding its current value. Everyone just needs to realize the only reason it has its value that it has right now is because the dollar is getting weaker. So that's the same case for Bitcoin. As everything is backed by fiat money, by fiat money, if everything is backed by fiat, then it only does well based on the fact that it goes to so for example, we just had the Iranian currency collapse, and if you were holding Bitcoin, you're doing very well. You're like a quadrillionaire. If you have a fucking like a, a quarter of a Bitcoin in Iran, you're literally like a trillionaire. I mean, you might even be more than that technically when all things are said and done. So with crypto, there's that conversation that makes it its speculative value that it gets based in, et cetera, et cetera. Now, my take on like where I think gold and silver are going, as for the speculative part of the conversation, I think they will potentially go up higher until the Shemitah year, but I don't think they're going much higher. And I think in the midst of between now and the next Shemitah year, it could have a major correction. And we've already seen silver had a 47% correction from its local high. That's fucking crazy, bro.
That is.
A 47% correction for silver?
That's half.
It proves to everyone this is not going up because of real silver being purchased in the first place. It's going up for the same thing that silver holders speak about the cabal doing, which is paper silver, just all these derivatives, all these additional instruments with leverage. It went up to 120 because of that. It didn't go up to 120 because people are buying it. Wake up. It goes up because of leverage, and it was able to crash 50% in the course of a week because of leverage as well.
Sure.
You would have needed everybody on planet Earth to have given back their soul all at the same hour.
Well,
how is that physically possible to have that type of move?
I agree with you. It's, you can't go to the store right now, and it's not set up to use your silver and gold. It's a collector's item. It'll always probably be that way. But I'm an astrology person, man. I've got the evidence, the receipts to show how our reality is ruled over by the high table. That's what John Wick called it, the high table. And people that don't follow astrology, they just don't see the fact that the age that we're moving into or already have moved into is an air sign, and that's digitization. And what's across from it is a gold sign, the sun, and Leo. And that is where the sun becomes air, digitization, right? So to me, it's inevitable that we're going to move into that space. When you compare that to the age of Pisces and the age of Pisces with Virgo, well, Virgo is a earth sign and Pisces is a water sign. Those are two physical layers of nature. That's gold and silver and the metals of the earth. We are moving away from that. The printing presses and the books, and those are all being done away with because the digitization is coming in, and it's obviously crystal clear. Now, unless some huge disruption comes in and completely just exterminates everything digital and the flying cars and technology, and if something, I just don't see it not moving forward and getting stronger and bigger. That's what the age of Aquarius calls for. So you as an observer, not you, Jordan, but those of you listening, you don't have to like what's coming in, and you don't have to agree with it. I mean, think of during the age of Aries, moving into the age of Pisces. They were like, I'm not going into no church. I'm not doing. What do you mean? Put my faith in some dude? I'm not doing that. I got my sword. I'm protecting my family this way, and I'm not going to throw my sword down for some book. So don't think I'm going to do that. So that's what they were up against during the Piscean Age. And then, of course, they used the Mars energy, especially in the story of Guadalupe. They used the energy of Mars and war during the Age of Pisces, which was supposed to be an age of salvation, but they forced the whole, Mother Mary system on a lot of the people that create Catholicism and Christianity. They forced it upon them. So these ages never go away. We're still, like, war right now is all Aries energy. So even though we're in a different age, we're still having Aries energy survive and list out and play out. And that never ends. So as we move into Aquarius, you're talking about revolution, Uranian energy, which is electrical systems to power up the digitized network. That is going to favor cryptocurrency. And,
Yep.
it's good to just be diverse, ladies and gentlemen, because I would bet the majority of people here, you don't even have any gold and silver, right? And you don't even have any crypto. You're just relying on a currency that's it's nearing its deathbed, and it has to. Nothing lasts forever. So it's good to just be a little diverse, just in case. And if I'm wrong, in the sense that crypto gets completely demolished and it goes away, then so be it. But at least have diversity in your life. I think that's a really an important idea, to have diversity. And the majority of people don't live their life this way. They are all in on one layer of life, and they put their faith in that, and that's it. And that's all they do. And this is why religion rules the world, because people think that someone's going to come and save them. So they just sit back and do nothing.
It's why politics works.
That's the way politics works. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly. So I just don't see. Astrologically, gold and silver would be in Leo. Leo is going to be not a subordinate, but a partnership with Aquarius. And Aquarius is all about air and transhumanism and merging man with machine or woman with machine. That doesn't mean you're going to be a complete cyborg, but I try to look at the optimism and the benefits. We've talked about this so many times, maybe you have, but like, how about the people that have prosthetics and they have this peg leg that they have to get around? They're going to get into robotics, and they're going to lead out a better life because of this technology that we're moving towards. People are going to live longer. People are probably going to start improving their eyesight by way of technology. Where's the downside to that? So I think that the Aquarian age is going to provide a lot of advancements in the medical field. And if you want a bulletproof field to get into, the medical field is one of them. Especially those of you out there that are worried that your job, may not be standing the test of time. But the medical field is, to me, is a sure bet, because as long as there's humans, there will be prevention, there will be cure, and those things all line up with the medical field. So
That's an interesting take. I mean, I don't know if I agree with that fully, because I feel like humanoid robots and artificial intelligence will be utilized in the medical field as the main priority. And they have been. Like, I remember even like almost 10 years ago, there was a hospital in no, actually, I would say over 15 years ago, there was a hospital in New Jersey that had a billboard in a small little town that was talking about using robotics for surgery. And like they already had it. And I think there's going to be a lot more people gonna self-diagnose using ChatGPT and Gemini and these, for example. Like, why have 3 doctor's visits when you could crunch that into a 20-minute back and forth texting conversation with AI to dial in one specific visit? So I think it's going to disrupt that industry quite a bit. It's not to say that it's all going to crumble and go away. I would just say that the job security thesis, I'm not entirely sure of.
yeah, no, I get your point. I'm just talking about like nurses and doctors. I know you could easily get those replaced by robotic aspects, but
Right.
how long are we talking? How long? I mean, are we talking a decade? Are we talking 20 years? I mean, I'm 53, so for me, I'm already past my halfway point if I'm going on average years of lifespan. Now, I could be 100, I don't know, but for me, 20 years, is there really going to be robots doing heart surgery and open heart surgery? Maybe.
Well,
It's possible.
one thing I thought was really fascinating, a couple of people came out recently talking about how, and of course, this is a prediction they're making, so it's not fact, but it is on the radar. Talking about, if you were to theoretically live 5 years from today, so let's call it 2031, if you were to make it to that moment and you're like below the age of 60, I think, that you will get the choice between, and this is what's wild, the way that this was presented is the choice. So that's already scary, but the idea is that you'll get the choice to live between 120 to 140. Have you heard this?
A similar story, yes. I mean,
Yeah.
150
So
was the
there's
mark.
many fractaling versions of this idea that it might be 110 max, but there's already like this idea of like the choice to live to 120 or 40, which I find very fascinating how they use that kind of language because it makes me think of that movie Time, how like the new currency will be time and it
Sure.
won't even be money,
Yeah.
for example. And maybe we could talk about that in a moment, but coming back to this thought, if people are currently dying in like their late 60s, I mean, people are dying way younger now because of this jab.
Sure.
And we're seeing like the life expectancy in general not really move the needle much in the past 100 years. Like, even though we do have things like all these new cancers, all these new like illnesses, diseases, etc., the needle hasn't moved much. Like, people are generally still dying at the same ages. Um, since we've started collecting this data and can prove that we've been collecting it. Of course, there's shit that, you could find data going back to the 1600s and whatnot, but that's insanely theoretical. There's nothing to prove that as truth. Just like they used to say people were shorter or whatever. Like, there's really nothing to go by beyond mythology and storytelling. And I always take things as opposites. So if they say people used to be shorter, I assume they were probably giants. That's the way my mind works.
Sure.
So getting back to like what we have to prove, it's barely moved the needle with all of these supplements we have and all of the
Yeah.
training and all of the shit we have. We
Yep.
have all these pills and potions and things to, shove into your, we have peptides now. Everyone's theorizing what's going to come from that. And it's not moving the needle at all. So then you think, okay, we have these technocrats, which it's probably in their best interest to shill this concept out to you of living to 120 or 140, but then now think about what's the ramifications of that. If you get to live for sure past 100 years old, you're going to value life much differently. You're going to value money much differently,
Yep.
aren't you?
I agree.
You're going to value when you want to have kids much differently.
Yeah.
I mean, because, for example, if a woman's able to live to 140, when does menopause happen?
Yeah.
Does it happen at the same age or does it get pushed up like 30 years? I mean, holy shit. What's going to happen to us biologically to make that a possibility? And now there might be some people in the chat, people listening to this that are like, well, we used to live to 130 or whatever. It's like, okay, prove it. And if we did, what were we doing?
Yep. Well,
Was this before we had like 20-year-olds twerking on OnlyFans? For sure. So we need to talk about today. We need to talk about what we're dealing with now.
yeah, and you
We're
could
dealing with.
go,
Sorry.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. You were on a roll.
No. I was just gonna say, like, it doesn't matter what happened in the past. It doesn't matter if people were shorter 100 years ago. That's like the bigger point is what are we dealing
What
with
are we
today?
doing right now? Yeah. Yeah. No
What are we
doubt.
doing right now?
What are we
And what
doing
are they
now?
doing right now?
Yeah.
Like, what are we watching happen right now? It's all that matters.
Yep.
So just to wrap up that stream of consciousness, it's like, look at everything through today's vantage point, where we're at with the economy, where we're at with the levels of uncertainty throughout the world, no matter what it is, if it's job security, health, bringing children into this world has definitely been a big problem for a lot of people. And now there's many reasons for that. But then you throw in this new element of like, guys, you just have to live an extra 5 fucking years and you're going to be able to add on 40 years to your life. Question is, how do they do that? Second is, well, what would you do if you had that? So I'll wrap it up there. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. With adding time onto your life.
Yeah, like what does that do for us as a species?
Well, I think that I think the majority of people, I think Steve Jobs said it right. He said everybody wants to go to heaven. No one wants to die to get there. So I think that people are afraid to die. They're afraid to even think about dying because we're programmed to live. So people, I mean, I've been in the medical field the majority of my life. Before I got into the esoteric field, I was in the medical field. So I know stem cell therapy. I have friends still doing stem cells. And I've been in, health and wellness my entire life. I've been in the peptide business back in 2010 before it ever came out. And it's really popular right now. So I know a little bit about this kind of industry, and people want these things because they don't want to die. So they want to prevent, especially if you're in prevention. But when we look at if we take the yugas, if we take the Vedic traditions of the four worlds that we seemingly live through, we go from the gold, silver, bronze to the Iron Age, and you would think that this is, the Iron Age, and a lot of people say that we're moving out of the Iron Age and we're moving into the Bronze Age, because you don't just go from the Iron Age right to gold, right? It's not like it's a slow process. So you go back up to the Bronze Age, and the Bronze Age, of course, is you're moving back to source energy. But are we really there? That's the question, because we're still seeing this, the war going on. And would we still see that in the Bronze Age? Probably still have a lot of ego and all that kind of stuff. But as we transcend back to the Golden Age, if this is indeed how it works, is that where we live longer? I look at the four quadrants of the season: spring, summer, fall, and winter. And I talk about this a lot with the community that we're involved in. And what season are you living in right now with your current age? Well, springtime is 0 to 20, summertime 21 to 40, fall 41 to 60, and 61 to 80 is wintertime, roughly, right? Going on the averages. So it's different when you're in a certain season and you try to compare your life to somebody else. Well, are we in the winter season right now as a collective? And that would mean that, we're the farthest away from the source. And is that why we have a demigod, which is the computer and cell phone? Because we're relying on artificial intelligence to do our bidding? Maybe that's the case. But I think that the majority of people here, myself included, your life would completely get uprooted if you remove the WW from your life. If you didn't have your YouTube and Netflix and Amazon Prime and your shopping online and the swiping of your card so you don't have to go to the bank and take out money, I think these conveniences, you'd be lost without them. And that goes with health and wellness as well. So, you had mentioned about not needing a doctor. Well, we've talked a lot about this, where you don't need a doctor to diagnose yourself. If you got a blood panel, you can put that right into ChatGPT or Gemini or Grok or whatever, and it'll diagnose to a high degree of what's wrong with you. And that's longevity, because now you're using the machine to give you the line to move towards longevity. So I think that that's going to be a big win in the technology space, is to be able to diagnose your health without having to go to the doctor. What does that do for you? Saves you gas, because you don't have to get in the car and drive. Saves the wear and tear on your car. Saves you an appointment. It saves you a consultation price. There's a lot of things money-wise that AI will save you. So again, I'm moving right back to the optimism of what this new reality that we're moving into is going to give us, not what it's going to take away from us.
Yeah, but so if we were to remove, if the old generation that is not even going to use AI were to die, which they will, then the majority of the collective is utilizing AI to save themselves 1 to 2 visits per person in the world. That now takes a lot of money out of the system, which then takes a lot of jobs.
You're right. No, you're absolutely right. It's a different way to look at it. I'm just talking about if you get injured and you how long is it going to be before people stop going to the doctors? There's a lot of old school people out there. You got the baby boomers, which are dying off. My parents are baby boomers. My dad is 80. My mom's 79. So they're in their winter stage, and they're at the tail end of their life. When the baby boomers go, that generation X moves up, which is the generation I'm in. And now we become kind of the last generation. And our generation had, in astrology, we had Pluto in Virgo, and we had Uranus in Virgo, and these are huge markers for health and wellness, and for the disillusion of health and wellness, right? So again, I just go back to astrology. I'm kind of maybe deflecting that aspect.
No, it's okay.
But I think no matter what, for me, I lean to the astrology for my answers, and numerology and the observation of the code. That's what I do, because it's all in patterns and sequences. And if you're willing to look at the patterns and sequences, you can literally predict the future. You can. Yep. You can to a high degree. Yep.
Yeah, and I suppose my specialty in all of this is understanding the economic and the market and the finance side of like what this disruption is going to be, and it's very difficult to talk positively about it from for me, because of my awareness.
Mm.
But I do try to deliver the positive from the sense of like, well, if you're an honorable, genuine, authentic creator, you're always going to do well. Like, so utilizing AI to help you with that process is awesome. You know, it might save you needing to develop perhaps what could be seemingly unnecessary skills in
Yeah.
the future world,
Uh,
things that people might not even appreciate, but I still think most people will appreciate. And if anything, if you do have those skills of the past, you will be appreciated a lot.
oh
Like
yeah.
people will really love to see an opera or a ballet or, you know, it's super funny that that moment that happened with I don't know if you saw it, but with Timothy Chalamet, where he was like talking shit about opera and ballet. And I was like, I'm like, I sometimes talk the way he does, the way he did in that moment, where I just say some shit and I don't really think about what it is that like how it could affect everybody. So I could admit I'm not perfect in that way. I'm very spicy, but as he was saying it, I realized that like, oh, it's actually gonna be like, it's gonna be so lit to see like an opera in 5 years, you know? Like
Hmm.
when we have holographic fucking concerts,
Yep.
you know? Like it's not even gonna be like a real artist any like Taylor Swift's body is just gonna be like a
Yep.
holographically projected thing. And I think we're going to choose what we want to invest in as the consumer accordingly. But typically, what these things do is they sort of bring about a deflationary situation, kind
Yep.
of like the creation of the smartphone. It was deflationary in a way because we no longer need to have also a camera or also a music player or also insert whatever thing. You could just have it all in one. So although the thing has gotten much more expensive in and of itself, it's still saving you a lot of money in a lot of other ways because it's all in one, right? And your
Totally.
car will become that in a way. Um, your laptop has become that in a lot of ways, etc. And I think that's definitely a positive angle for the consumer, but then we have to think, well, the consumer only has money if they earn,
Mm.
how they earn in a world where like we've obviously seen the layoffs coming in. I mean, I don't want to sound doom and gloom. I want to talk about these things because I feel like we have to, you know? And recently, I don't know if you saw this from Jack Dorsey. He came out and publicly shared with the world how many people he's laid off from Block, the company that the other company he owns that's like Cash App and Square and like a couple other things. Have you seen this?
I have not.
Okay. Anyways, everyone probably has heard Jack Dorsey's name. He used to own what was called Twitter, and he's still going. He's still like Silicon Valley legend, big part of the conversation. And he came out recently and said they reduced their workforce by 40%.
Wow.
And then as a part of it, he then revealed, because he was getting a lot of shit for it, even though he came up with the most like cushiony severance package in the history of severance packages. So like it was very San Francisco-fied. Like it was
Shit.
a it was beautiful. You know, it wasn't just like fuck off, you're fired. It was like 6 months pay, like all of this crazy, like healthcare, all of it. So it was a very cushiony severance package, but a lot of people don't care about that because all humanity sees is like, oh, the layoffs are happening
Mm.
and my job is going to be threatened. And I know the reason why. It's because of AI. And a bunch of shit was coming his way, you know, the digital torches and pitchforks. And he replied to somebody saying that they were initially, since COVID, getting about 500,000 profit per person on the team. So think they had a 10,000 person team with about a 500,000 profit per person. And they're now projecting with the team they've downsized with, which only has 6,000 people, so a 40% reduction, but they're getting 2 million per person.
Wow. That's a huge jump.
So we just watched 40% people get laid off to then jump your revenue 4x. And you don't think that if it comes from Jack Dorsey, that it's not going to inspire and motivate every other
Sure.
fucking technocrat CEO in the world?
Sure. Sure. Sure.
You, like, if we think World War III is bombs, like, I don't want to sound insensitive right now. Can't disregard what I said earlier, but that's the real World War III.
You were talking about
The
just the decimation of the economy,
of the
of the
workforce, of the
workforce. Yeah.
economy,
Yeah. Yeah.
precisely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because when you take away a human's purpose, when you take away someone's job, in a lot of ways, you take away their purpose. or you take away the ways that they formulate what they believe their purpose is,
Yeah.
because they might call their purpose a side gig or like a hobby, but now they have no fucking money to afford that hobby,
Sure.
right? So it sends this ripple effect. And I'm by no means saying that everyone has the character or the spine or the risk tolerance to become an entrepreneur. That's not what I'm saying, even though I would recommend you learn soon. Obviously, you want to be in control of your own life. That's a great way to accomplish that. But with that being said, this is funny that the day later, somebody revealed another report to kind of defend what Jack Dorsey is doing by saying, look at all the other recent layoffs we've had. And Block, his company, was ranked 17 on the list. Amazon and I think it was Microsoft dwarfed. Like, it made what Block did like fucking a piece of cake. They were laying off like 30,000 employees in the last 28 days.
Wow.
So it's not a joke. And what's crazy is the programmers are having a great time right now because a lot of those people are getting jobs, specifically people that are AI focused. But what do you think the grand plan for them is?
Well,
with things like
use them
with
up and
Claude,
spit them,
et
use them
cetera.
up and spit them out. Yeah. Yeah. No.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I get it. I get it.
So I'll end that there. It's just to say that, like, I think we need to have those conversations because before our earlier conversations, you know, probably in the last podcast, it's like it might have sound doom and gloom because it's like it wasn't touching us yet. It wasn't like we could feel it or smell it, but like now it's really real. It's a really, really real thing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And if we avoid that and we are only like looking at it from this lens of like, it'll be okay, which I know you're not doing, but I mean, just in general, like a lot of people are defaulting to one of the two of the polarities of like, I don't want to hear anyone talk negatively about AI because it's just, it doesn't concern me. And like, who cares? And then there's the other side of it, which is like people are really, really worried. They're really, really scared. So they disregard the conversation because of that.
Well, I think that those of you that are refusing to jump into AI, you're just kidding yourself because here you are on YouTube and YouTube is AI. So you're already a part of it, right? You're already a part of it. And you probably swipe your card and that's already doing digitization and it's already part of that. And the shows that you watch are part of that. And so you're already partaking in it, especially if you're here. If you're on YouTube, you're already partaking in the AI transition. But I think that this age of Aquarius is going to be an age of consolidation, right? Because if you compare the age of Virgo, like last night, 2 nights ago, I put on Back to the Future 1985. I've watched it so many times already, right? But when you compare just that movie back from 1955, and people would say, oh, it was so much more simpler back then. Yeah, it was in a sense, but like if you're driving in your car and a song comes on the radio and you want to know who sings it, you got to wait till you get home to call up the radio station, right? So there's that time delay on where now you just Shazam it or, you know, it's on your phone automatically. So everything's instant now, but it's consolidation. And in 1955, a lot of things took up more space, right? And things were clunkier. Things were not as proficient. So the optimism of the age of Aquarius is that you're taking, like you had mentioned earlier, the cell phone and the computer, everything's consolidating into that little device where you can control everything. Like I think what's cool is I got a camera in my place and I can go down to Cancun or I can go to Tulum or I can go to wherever and just with the click of a button, I can turn that camera on. Whereas if I was in the age of Pisces when they didn't have this technology, I'm like, oh man, and they didn't have cameras back then, so you can't monitor. You couldn't monitor back then. Like when I grew up, there was no cameras monitoring your kitchen or your living room, right? You just lock your door and hope that nobody breaks in, right? Now, security gets tightened and everything can be done by the touch of a button. So I think this age is the age of consolidation. So this is in part of what you're saying of the workforce being reduced down. And is this what Ready Player One was trying to get across? Because when you look at their forecast, it seemingly looks kind of like the Kali Yuga stage, where people are boxed in, everything's consolidated, everybody's living on top of everybody. It's kind of dystopian in a sense in some areas, and then people want to escape that because They don't like their environment when they open their eyes, right? So again, this is totally not doom and gloom. I'm just observing what I see around me, and I'm completely just speculating on these things. But I also, Jordan, I want to say this. I also think that a possibility of our reality is what you consume mentally is what reality gets delivered to you. So if you turn off the news and you're not part of the collective, like to a huge degree, is it possible that it doesn't affect you like it does somebody who's engaged in it firsthand? You know, like
it depends.
It does depend. But what if our reality is set up? This is completely theoretical, science fiction-y. But what if our reality is set up to where what you perceive within, you project on the outside, and then that gets created in your reality? And so what if, disassociating from the things that are dystopian removes the dystopian that's coming for what the collective really is going to move towards? Do you see what I'm saying? And that means that there's this talk about this bifurcation. The bifurcation is kind of the split in the road to where people are going to go one way and the collective are going to go another. You could say that there's this split in the road of the utopian versus the dystopian, right? Where the people that are following the mainstream and they're heavily influenced by agents all the time. And you see these agents. Agents would just be somebody who wants you to engage in the matrix in a big way, to support it, to help build it, etc. And I think it's inevitable that we do that because, like, I do readings for people and I empower people. So of course, when I empower somebody, I show them, hey, this is what you should be doing. And they're like, yeah, I totally feel that. And then what are they going to do? They're going to run out and put it into practice. And the only way you can run out and put it into practice is by engaging into this reality that is around us. So if I tell you, yeah, you have wealth in your chart, or you're born to do this, and you were like, oh my God, I'm so glad you told me that. That was the confirmation I needed. And then what you do is you wake up the next day, you feel refreshed, you feel like you have a sense of purpose, and then you rush out and you start to move towards that of which we talked about. What does that do? It keeps the game going. Now, does it enforce or support the world that's coming that could be dystopian in a bifurcation kind of situation? Maybe. I don't know. And again, that's purely theoretical with this bifurcation, but it is a big thing in the communities that I listen to, is this bifurcation and this split in the road where some people, and this is all the 5D Earth and all this stuff, which is theoretical, right? These are all theoretical positions. But the talk about this is where the new Earth, where you're going to move into a utopian world, is that bifurcation. That's what it is. And there's no way to prove that. All you have to do is just sit back and, really all you can do is wait. But don't sit there and wait with your thumbs twiddling. And certainly I feel that it's best to disengage from the mainstream as much as you can so it doesn't influence you as much. I think that's a better way to live, a happier way to live. I think the less dissonance you have by disassociating yourself from the mainstream is the best way to live, in my opinion. I'm going to pause there.
Yeah, there's a couple of things that I could unpack that I think might make people think a little differently. And it's that if you're disengaging from the mainstream, you're probably, like, let's make an assumption that a lot of people who are listening to this right now know about us, obviously, because they're people who follow us, but then simultaneously they might be people coming from other communities that we have spoken to there, whomever. Let's throw Archaics into the mix, right? Shout out to Archaics, by the way.
Shout out to
So imagine, yeah, and I don't want to confuse people, so I'll simplify it, but it's just to say that if you don't watch the mainstream, you're probably going to get a consumed, digested, and decoded version of the mainstream from one of the three of us.
Yep.
You just find our delivery of the mainstream a little bit sexier. But you're still getting it. And you want to know, if I ignored it, you would all be asking me for it. I'm not trying to be an asshole. I'm being real. Every day I open up my phone and I get secondhand news from my community of people that want me to decode shit.
Oh, me too.
They're like, and that's our purpose. And I'm fucking grateful for that. I'm grateful. I mean, I used to, I looked in the chat for a moment. Somebody said I used to be against AI. It's like, it's not being against it. It's that like I'm preaching for humans to tap back into their creative essence, acquire skills,
Yep.
and embrace truth and wisdom. And, but I can't look at AI like it's not here to stay. It's here.
It's
I
here.
got to deal with it.
Yep.
And I'm a leader, I guess, amongst the conversation. So I'm going to speak my truth on the matter.
Yep.
But to say that there'll be a way to completely dislocate from the it's just not possible because when the Epstein shit was going on, everyone's coming to me being like, "What's your take on Epstein? The World War III, like, Iran gets bombed. What's your take on it?" So like, I can't even escape it. If I wanted to try to escape it, my own people would make it so I have. It's like that scene in Godfather where Al Pacino's like, they just keep bringing me back
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
I love that fucking scene. It's like that's kind of what I feel like, and it's not to say that my own people are doing that consciously to be like. It's not nothing negative. I love what I get to do. I love this. I love having like a conscious perspective on the matter it, on what's happening on the world stage, the dirty laundry, right? In a way where like the laundry cleaners, I suppose, and that there's the side note there. Okay, now just one other side note to the concept is go study all the people that have separated from the society and look at the Hasidim. They currently live amongst us in their own communities. They don't let their kids go. They don't even let their kids play with other kids, bro.
Yeah, I know what that's like.
Does anyone who's listening to me right now know what the hell I'm talking about? Like, go to Crown Heights, Brooklyn, go to Lakewood, New York, or Lakewood, New Jersey. Like, you'll see
Big
straight
Jewish
up
communities, right?
Correct.
Yep.
You'll see, but not just like we're talking like real deal, like not fakes.
Yep.
Like most of them are anti-Zionist, by the way. So they're anti-Israel. They're doing something that's very much by the Torah, by the Talmud, etc. Now, I don't want to go deep into that necessarily, but it's just to reveal that, unfortunately, when you quote unquote have a society that somehow praises themselves on disassociating from the world that we live in, they end up becoming like a cult because they start to formulate milestones and goals on like the fact that they are not part of that system, and it becomes part of their ego, it becomes part of their identity. And in a lot of ways that's where you get this like awkwardness, this weirdness that it's just inevitable. So my whole thing in life, and it's not for me to say how any of you should be, or I'm not by any means saying that I do it better, but I like having like one foot in the matrix, one foot out. I heard like this thing recently from this rabbi where he was just like, we look at you like goyim and you're all just roaches to us. And like 10 years ago, I used to get offended, and now I just chuckle. I'm like, that's funny. Like, I don't give a fuck.
Right. Well, that's what I meant.
I don't give a fuck.
That's what I meant.
Yeah. So like I think some people like they take it as like it has to be this extreme of like you have to literally branch off and be a part of some community that is completely separate. But like first of all, I haven't seen anyone really put that in motion even in our more, let's call it, conscious communities.
Yeah.
And then secondly, all the ones that have successfully done this, they end up operating like a cult. And I haven't seen anything really neutral here, like something that follows that middle ground. Hopefully we're spearheading that movement. I hope like people feel that from me, because I don't want to be the leader here. I just call myself the cup of coffee in the morning at best.
Well, I think life's a cult, man. I think life in all its totality is a cult. And I think that, our lives are mini cults, because I have followers, and I've had people say, "Oh, you're in Logan's cult," right? Because that's how they're looking at it. So I think every community can be considered a cult, because you have your own viewpoints, and they're not going to be lined up with and agreed upon with everybody else's. And that's why I'm all about making the truth your own. But I agree with you. I think like I love my toys, technology. I use the computer, and I've often thought about like, what would I do if I didn't have my cell phone or computer anymore? Because I love using Photoshop and Illustrator, and I love creating I love creating these things and presentations, and I love helping people. So I would just be kind of lost in a way. I could go into some other industry, like go back into the health and wellness, or, I always wanted to kind of cook and be a chef in a certain way. So I have a passion for that, but I really just enjoy what I'm doing. So I'm just like you on that. What I want to clarify what I really meant was when I say disengaging, I'm talking about, like, for instance, I was supposed to be in Puerto Vallarta a couple weeks ago, and I didn't make it. And I had people over there that were sending me these videos, like, look at what's going on. You dodged a bullet. And then I had people asking me, are you okay? And I get, and I appreciated the concern. But what I didn't do was panic, and I didn't get involved with the fear, and I didn't get involved with, oh my God, let me go see what's going on. Let me go, and have emotions get tied to the things that are going on. So for me, what I'm saying is not partaking in the mainstream is I don't care what's going on around the world when it comes to war. I do care about people, but my attention focuses on the alternative, which is, let's not pay attention to that. Let's create our own community, because when we're creating our own community, we're not helping creating theirs. So that's my whole point on this. And that may just be the bifurcation where you're just going to slip in this new reality, but you'll never know it. There's not a line I don't think there's a line in the sand. Like, you'll just wake up one day and it's just like, today's just another day, and life starts to move in a certain direction. And I know a lot of people, like, I would encourage everybody here to kind of do this exercise. Like, if you could control the world, what would you do? What would you create it as? How would it look? Right? And so this is what I do with myself. I do this exercise where I'm like, yeah, what would Logan do? Well, I'm doing it. You're seeing it. I do all these podcasts. I help people. I do pro bono. I'm doing charity work. This is how I want to see the world. So I'm creating this cult world of mine, right? I don't have no problem saying that. And the people that are involved in my community, the people that are involved in your community, they're coming to you because they like what you have to say, and they like the results they're getting, Jordan, from your courses and your teachings and all that stuff. So essentially, the world that they want to create is through the kind of his big influence through the lens of your world. Same with Archaics, Jason Bashir's. People go to him because he's extremely intelligent. They like history. They like chronology. They like the idea of the phoenix to a big degree. They like not being a part of the system. They want to be an errant, right? And that's a big buzzword in their community. Well, what does an errant mean? It means creating a different world, not part of this one, but still part of the Matrix, because I think the Matrix is a very diverse system, and it has a zillion different options in it. But I'm all about, how do you see the world? If you could control it, what would you do? Well, ladies and gentlemen, guess what? You're doing it. Everybody's comments, I'm looking at all these comments coming in. All of your comments, that's your world that you're creating, right? And if you just do the exercise of what I just said, like, if you could control the world, if you could be God for 1 year, what would you do differently? What would you, and I know a lot of you would, think about that exercise. What would you do if you could be God for a year? Like, you're going to go clean the garden up? What does that look like? Well, I mean, that's what I'm doing. Jordan, I know that's what you're doing. You're cleaning your garden up. I'm cleaning my garden up. Jason's doing his. The communities that we're involved in, we're creating our little communities, and we're making the changes in the world. For me, it's about not paying attention to the war going on and what I mean by that is, I don't get emotionally involved with it. I'm not afraid. I'm not like, oh my God, I can't believe. I know that there's innocent kids being killed, but guess what? That's been going on since I was born. It hasn't changed. Nothing's changed. Right. It may just increase, but child trafficking and pedophilia and and the things that you don't like, that you would get rid of, eliminate. It's been going on since you came into this world. Mm-hmm. Is it gonna get released? Well, again, do the exercise. What would you do for 1 year if you could be God and you could create the world that you want to create? Well, are you not doing that right now, each and every one of you individually? Of course you're doing it, because I see a lot of kicking and screaming in the chat. Oh, I wouldn't do this, I wouldn't do that. Oh, great, then keep going and do that, because that's what the world needs you to do, right? It doesn't need you to follow what I'm doing. You could partake in what I'm doing. It doesn't need you to follow what Jordan's doing or Jason, but you're going to take a little sliver. I think that, and I'll leave you with this, and I'll yield to you. I think that we're DJs of life. I think that a DJ is a great DJ is not just about blending the songs. Anybody can really do that. It's the track selections that makes a good DJ. Like the songs are really, really good, tastefully done. So because anybody can blend them, you should be able to blend them. I think that's exactly how we are. We're DJs of life, and your life is a collection of songs. And from start to finish, when you wake up to go to bed, your songs are the movies you watch, the shows that you pay attention to, the things you consume mentally, the things that you consume physically. You're a collection of songs playing out through your life. What is the song?
Mm-hmm.
What does the track list look like for you, right? So a DJ of life is what I am, and I like my playlist, and I know you like your playlist, Jordan, right? Because you wouldn't be doing it. You wouldn't be playing the songs. Like you don't just play songs. Like if you go on and you play a song on YouTube, and you know how it just automatically chooses another song, you may hit skip. You may hit skip. Why? I don't like that song. Well, why are you not skipping the shit in life that you don't like? Why are you paying attention to the things you don't like? Why can't you just hit this skip button? I'm going to skip the war. I'm going to skip it. Because guess what? I can tell you this right now. It's only temporary. It's not going to last forever. So you're going to get on the other side. The war's going to be over, and everybody will be celebrating because the economy is going to go back to somewhat normalcy. There'll be a new emergence of an economy. People will be cheering. Finally, peace. The peace and security will happen. But you got to get through the tunnel, right? I'm already at the end of the other tunnel. Like I'm already there, and I'm going to wait for all of you there, for me personally. So I'll yield there, Jordan. And I would love to get your take on that, man. Because I know that you follow with that DJ of life kind of scenario.
That's powerful shit. Like you're spitting flames there. So much juice.
Yeah, that was my spice, bro.
I love it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I resonate. You know, one thing that I used to say a lot, maybe like 10 years ago, and this has nothing to do with what you said, but it reminds me, and like with clients that I have and stuff, I used to say a lot, I won't do that, or I can't do that. I always used to use that term, like I can't or I won't. It's like somebody's like talking about putting masks on during C-19, and I'm like, I won't do that, you know? And someone that was really close to me, like someone that I sort of look up to in a lot of ways, he said, you can do everything. And I was like, at first, it's like a little bit of a punch in the stomach because he's trying to like, really like we limit ourselves by the I can'ts and I won'ts, and then it starts to bleed into all the things that you believe you will. Or will try to, or whatever, like this so-called action-based language. So lately I've been thinking, as I've been growing here and doing this Waters Above project, which by the way just hit 5 years couple of days ago.
Congrats, bro.
So that's so I've been reflecting a lot lately. And asking myself, like, what is this? You know?
Yeah.
And I think I walked away from a lot of these concepts, like I'm helping people, or I'm, you know, the waking up concept, or, you know, trying to escape the matrix, like that language, all of that. And I've been changing up, like, what songs are on my playlist? Like, as you said, like what songs are on my playlist? And I don't know. I don't really have too much more to say to that, but because you did it service, the philosophy. And I just have been spending a lot of time lately thinking about, well, we do skip through a lot of things, right? Our default behavior in a lot of ways is skipping through. And it's just, I think we need to be honest with ourselves of, are you skipping the shit you love though? Like, are you skipping the shit that excites you? Are you skipping the things that you see? So that technology of using the skip button, like, you got to be very careful, because when you get comfortable using it on stuff you don't like, sometimes you start using it on stuff that you really love and you never embrace. And I think most people most of humanity right now, we like easy buttons. We like comfort. We like pleasure. We like sweet. We never want to entertain bitter or pain or suffering, or like loss is difficult for us, etc., etc. And, like, you know, I could go deeper into that, but the point that I'm trying to like reveal here is, when you use a limiter, when you use something that eliminates, you might unconsciously also utilize that technology for shit that you really love. You know, stuff that, and that's what I see most people are quote unquote struggling with right now. Like most of the clients, most of the people that get attracted to my work, they sense this kind of like fearlessness and this unlimited vibe. And I'm really, you know, I'm not sure why I'm like that. You know, we could talk about my code and this, that, and the third. Like we could do that. But the point is that I've worked myself to a way where I feel like I signed up for this war called life, and like I'm gonna fucking do it. You know, whatever.
Sure.
There's gonna be pain. Nobody promised me this would be comfortable. Nobody promised any of you that this thing called life would be comfortable. And if I gave you nothing but comfort, you wouldn't feel shit. You would just be numb. So you actually like when there's something quote unquote wrong. You like when there's a problem. You might not want it to be, but you actually do like it. And greatness, people who are seeking greatness, they're always looking for a new problem. And the average person is just pressing the skip button on everything, bro. The shit they don't like and the shit they like. So in the process, guys, of like using this skip button, just be careful that you don't skip through all the stuff that you really, really love. Like that you really are here to embrace, and you know you're here to embrace it because it excites you. Like Logan, you've had this transition away from being in health and wellness and a lot of stuff going on in that world. And then you gave it a shot, you gave it your all, and then over time it it adjusted. Like it took on this new path, but you brought with it all of this like all of this knowledge, and you're able to utilize that knowledge in what you currently do. And I feel like I'm in a very similar position. And the funny thing is I'm not even passionate about like TA or charts really, like the stuff that I do in a lot of my YouTube videos. I'm not even super passionate about it. It was more like a gift, like I didn't put too much energy into it for what I ended up figuring out. But then at the same time, I can't say that I pressed the skip button on any part of the process. I spent 16 hours every single day with no days off learning the charts. And I'm sure you have a similar story too with what you did with all of your decoding work. You just like it's you live, breathe, eat, and sleep this. And I know best because I've actually met Logan, and he's not like this is an unbelievable person
No,
that you guys are listening
I
to.
appreciate
Like
that.
he's seriously a machine. Like I'm surprised he doesn't have some fucking AI jacked into his brain because you can give this man anything, you know, a number, a word, whatever, and like without the computer, he can just for 10 minutes straight talk about it. It's unbelievable. So you're the real fucking deal. And I want everyone to unlock that too. Like I want everyone who's listening to this, like you could unlock that too. And that's going to feel like you're living as opposed to existing.
Well, first and foremost, thank you so very much for the love, man. I do appreciate that. And right back at you. You know how I feel about you. I've mentioned it so many times. People call it bromance and all that kind of bullshit, but it doesn't matter, man. It's called loving another human being. That's what it is. And I think people need to get back to that because I think people have lost the love and feeling in a certain way, right? But you know, you and I have very similar paths. Same with Jason and a few other people, and we're all doing we're all doing our stories, and we're all, you know, DJs of life. And I got the pleasure of meeting you in person several times. And yes, people, I know what he looks like. So he's a real person. But yeah, no shit. But I would you know, this is why I created the Spotlight course, because it gives you the cheat sheet, if you want to call it that, of what you're good at. So I know I've done so many readings over the years, and there's a lot of you that feel I'm not doing my passion. Okay, great. And I know there's some of you there that I just don't know what that would be. I think you do know. I think if you just really sat with yourself and said, you know, what would and I love Alan Watson, you know, from what if money was no object? It's a great exercise. You know, what would you do if you could do it and you couldn't get paid for it? What would it be that you do? And so, you know, that's why I created my pro bono system, where I take phone calls all day for free and I help people, right? A way of giving back. It was kind of an idea because I like a lot of court stuff. And I could do that. And so I'm doing that, right? What is your pro bono in life? All of you listening, what would your pro bono be? What would you be able to give back to the world? Because again, if you're God for 1 year, what are you creating? What are you directing? What are you telling people to do? What does daily activities look like? you know, and move towards that. And that's your creation. And that's going to be, you know, you living out your dream and living out your passion. Because I'm the same way as you, Jordan. I wake up every day. Sometimes I don't want to go to bed because I'm just, you know how you get in that groove and you know, you're in that freaking Decode groove, or even if you're a musician and you're playing the music and you're like, I can't put the guitar down or the piano down. You don't want to stop because you don't want to lose it. Because if you stop, you may lose it. You're in the zone. So what does it look like for you as an individual when you're in the zone? What would you do, and what would the world look like for an entire year? And I think that's a really amazing exercise. And then those of you that are destined to do like vision boards, especially if you're like a Queen of Hearts or a King of Hearts or Queen of Hearts especially, you're really a queen. Any queen should be doing a vision board, because vision boards the queens are tied to Pisces, which is very imaginative. So if you're a queen card, you should be doing vision boards. That's like one of your tools. It's like, if I'm a carpenter, I need a saw, I need a hammer to build the house. If you're a queen, your imagination is your tool. If you're not using that, then what are you here for? What you're you showed up without a saw. We got all this wood to saw. Well, you're showing up in life as a queen and you're not using your imagination. What's wrong with you? Well, nothing's wrong with you, but if I'm telling you that and you're like, yeah, I'm a queen, well, do visualization, do a vision board. You know, you may have a queen in your spread as well, making you part of that queen energy. You know, these are the layers that I personally lean towards to make it official. I already know I'm in my wheelhouse. Jordan, you know that you're doing your destiny. Jason does his destiny. You know, I don't need somebody to remind me that. But it's nice to go back and read the information from the esoteric that backs up my position in life, right? And that's why I love doing readings, because I can back up what your position is without knowing anything about you and kind of give you some hints on where you should go. So that's why for me, and the age of Aquarius, it's I know thyself. Pisces was about just have faith and surrender. Well, that doesn't work anymore because it's not part of the equation. It's about who are you, where are you going, what's your passion, and what does your track list look like as a DJ of life? What does that look like? Well, I don't really know. Yes, you do know. Well, let me give you some confirmations. Go study yourself. What's your numerology? What's your cards? What's your astrology chart? If you need help there, awesome. It's like going to a chiropractor and getting adjusted. You need a little help with the chiropractor to feel a little bit better? Fine, go see the chiropractor. If you need a reading, fine, do that. If you need to, study yourself a little bit more, do that. If you don't need that, if you know you're like Jordan, I know Jordan doesn't need a reading or study himself to know he's on track. He already knows it. He doesn't believe it. He knows it. So if you know you're on track, then studying yourself and getting confirmations will just tickle your funny bone. And maybe some of you need that confirmation. But if you do need the confirmation, if you don't feel like you're on track, then that would be the next step for you. Because then when you start to see it, it'll start to click. And when it clicks like that, you're home free. You're now living out your passion. And now the track list that you're playing for everybody around you, they're going to be like, damn, I love every song you played. Every song you played was amazing. That's what makes a good DJ. That is a person who doesn't bitch and complain and moan that it's them, it's they. We've talked about this a million times. And then your track list involves whatever your passions are. And I think a lot of you are distracted by what they're doing, what the world's doing, and you're distracted from what they're doing, and that's taking away from what you should be doing. And maybe that's the message you need to hear right now. Instead of trying to do this and trying to just go do you, really, and how that fits into your life. Because again, I'll yield back to you, Jordan. I can go to anybody here listening. I can look at your charts and I can tell a lot about where you're going, what you're all about. And then if you give me your history of your YouTube, I can easily look at that and your charts and I can totally tell why you're doing the things you're doing. If you give me the history of your YouTube channel, I know everything about you. If you tell me the songs and music you listen to and the shows that you watch and the movies you're influenced by, and I correlate those to your numerology and astrology, I got the cheat sheet to your life, right? Because you're projecting your charts onto the remote control that you're holding. I think I'll watch this show, or I think I'll watch that show. I think I'll listen to this. You're projecting your code onto your selection through the remote control and your mouse and your cell phone. That's what you're projecting, right? So I'll leave it there. I'll yield there, Jordan. Maybe we can change up the conversation and talk about something else. We kind of went heavy on this one.
No, man, it's like it's super like one thing I want to touch on more as like a question back to you is what happens when you're playing your playlist and you're being the DJ, but then somebody doesn't like your song.
Well, you just wait for the person that does like it.
But is that how it works?
I think so. I think that people are looking to join communities. They do that because they want like-minded people. So, if you've ever gone to an electronic venue, which I love, you go, or a concert, you pick the concert or venue you go to because you like the DJ or you like the musician or the group. So you're automatically choosing your crib, your community, and they're like-minded. And I would imagine if you go to like, I don't know, Metallica or Judas Priest or Megadeth, the bands that I like, they're probably going to play a lot of the songs that you like. And the people that you're there with, this is how people meet people. They meet people at a community of like-mindedness. They like the songs that you play. They like the songs that your bands that you bought a ticket for. So I think that you need to be in communities. I think a lot of people, and I don't know if you've seen this, but I've definitely seen that people are searching for their community, right? That people are looking for their community and they feel like they want to fit in. And I hear a lot of this. Maybe you do too. I hear a lot of people say, I just can't find people that have the same mindset as me. Do you come across that in your community?
Well, I mean, it's a big motivator why I'm creating my new platform. Like it's been
Yeah.
the ongoing kind of theme. And I've been using things like Discord and Patreon and all of that. And over the years, I've just thought to myself, like, I really got to just make my own thing. So that's the really big ethos behind the new platform because I wanted to create a space where, you could kind of like discover your people and it will be more than just the online world. And where I'm pouring all of my resources into creating a interface that will make that come to fruition. So everything from in-person events to this thing we created called Member Map, which will show you where all the members are throughout the community. And then the Member Map is integrated with groups, so there'll be location-based groups. There could be, 100 versions of a men's group, and they're all just tied to different areas of our map. So if you're in California and you want to be part of a men's group, that's possible. And same thing for the women out there. So there's so many little things that there's so much creativity that'll unfold from that new project. So
Well, I'm gonna
yeah.
I'm gonna freaking talk about your platform a lot because I think that a lot of you here are already on social media. You have Instagram accounts, Facebook accounts. Why not join a community that is like this community? This is the community that I feel is going to give you the best results. So Jordan's platform that he's created. When's your official launch? Have you launched it yet? Or?
We had a lot of like initial ideas to put it out as early as February, but I'll just say that from my perspective, I'm definitely a perfectionist and I want to make the best experience possible for everybody. So it's getting delayed because of my vision and the way that I keep adding more and more and more to it. And I kind of just want it to be like going to like a Michelin star restaurant.
Nice.
But like when you sign up, every piece of the experience from the sign up flow all the way to the onboarding tutorial of like how it will be to use the application. And it's going to also include a mobile app, which required me to hire mobile devs. So it's not just it's not just a web platform. It's a web platform and a mobile app that'll be available on Apple Store and the iOS Store and Android. So I went all out. I pretty much dedicated my last year to this, and I've had a team of people working with me throughout the entire experience, which was new for me to to be working with other people. So yeah, the date that it's planning to release, I'm really, really hoping for mid-April, but there's a potential a potential that we'll have an early access release at the end of this month. I've just been cautious about giving an exact date because I want to make sure that we have a couple of things sorted out and double checking for all the bugs and everything. Because when you build something on your own, like we're not relying on a third party platform. So this
Sure.
isn't going to be built on Wix or, Squarespace or like any of these other platform website builders. It's not. It's on a
Smart.
server. Like it's
Smart.
a real deal project.
Mm.
What
Well,
were you gonna say, brother?
no, I'm going to support you like crazy because, I like the whole concept, and the fact that you're doing it on your own servers is a huge plus because you now have control of that city. I look at these like cities, right? And I this is where we're going. So I'm a fan, and I'm really looking forward. And I think that we could even kind of collaborate. We've already kind of talked about that. So
Yeah, man. I mean, there's definitely like I said, I poured all my resources into this. Like I barely bought any crypto last year because all I did was I put all my money into making this project.
yeah.
So I'm not even gonna go there because I don't want to make it sound that way, but it's just like I took this very seriously. I took this as if I'm like building a kingdom, like a palace.
Yep. Well, you
And
are.
it was built from like blueprint to the thing that we're gonna show the public. And there's sometimes when people ask me like what is it, I can't even begin to explain it because it's so much more than just a social media platform. It has a piece of that, but a lot of the times people are launching what they call their quote unquote their own platform, and all it is they're building it on Circle or Mighty Networks or some other thing. And it's like we're not using another company. Like we are the company.
Yeah, that's
We
awesome.
are the builders. We are the
The
architects.
engineer,
We're the
man.
ones
Yeah.
precisely. So right now, we have a smaller cohort that is already inside of it, using it, like real people. They've been people that were with us in 2025 when I was doing these kind of short cohort launches. So we got some early access people in there, and um, I definitely plan to collab because I, in a way, have a lot of ideas to take pieces of this technology and make it its own thing in the future. And there's a vision of us becoming like our own Patreon or our own school.
Uh-huh.
And a lot of people, they might be thinking like this project is just on the surface a social media thing, but it's not. It's not. I have an insane vision for where this is going.
Mm.
So it's gonna be in a way like an everything app, and we're just getting started with three completely like separate technologies that our coders, like the people that have been working with us as we've been building it out, they've been telling me that these are things that people make a whole company for, and you have three in one. So we're already starting it with like an insane launch with it's gonna maybe be potentially even overwhelming for people how much they'll get in this. But I, of course, would love to have you on as a special guest. We did that with you in V1,
Yeah.
and it was so great to have you on because I launched that like esoteric numerology blueprint idea.
Oh, that's right.
And
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, by the way, some of your community might be wondering, like, are you gonna have any of that kind of stuff in your social profiles? And we will. So, like, you're gonna be able to add your numerology to it, your zodiac sign. We have rising, um, sign, sun sign. Like, we have everything part of the sign up flow.
Awesome.
So your profiles will even have the option to add human design if you are into that. Gene keys. We have everything. It's all gonna be there.
Mm.
So
Well, you're
I'm
talking.
really excited. I'm really excited to see where that goes with the interests that we've created in the groups, and it will allow for friend finding, like matching and potential things with dating. So I've covered pretty much every base with this from the social profile perspective, and that was definitely a big piece to the mission of like how can we allow for a platform that makes people feel like they're with their people,
Yep.
so in a world of potentially making friends or dating, it's 100% possible. I mean, there's already people that have started romantic partnerships through my community that I didn't even know about until a year after they happened, and then I looked back at myself and I was like, I never knew that was even possible.
Yep.
So it really inspires me to know that like people have come together through this. without it even being an intent. Like there wasn't any desire to do that. But with this, I was thinking much, much bigger, and I wanted it to be so much more than just like a crypto investing thing. Like
Sure.
it's gonna be real life. So
Well, I
yeah.
love it, man. I'm all about the esoteric stuff, obviously, but I've been talking about the whole dating scene for a really long time, and the spotlight course that we have, uh, it'll end up moving into some kind of application. But the dating scene is, uh, it's needed to move into that space of like, the knowing what you're getting involved with, because it's far beyond just, uh, yeah, you like to hike, I like to cook, we can cook, we can go hiking. It's far beyond that in this day and age, and then the advantage of using these platforms to filter and do your vetting, because like what it was like companies and employees that they've always done their vetting, at least the big ones did, but now you as an individual, you can do your own vetting, especially in the world of love and dating. You can vet the person that you're going to decide to hang out with. And what
Mhm.
better way to do it on an online platform before you actually move into the real life stuff, you know? And it can, and like you don't, back in the day when I grew up, man, with the rotary phones, you didn't have this kind of technology where you could vet and then figure out who you're going to go on a date with or hang out with, or the potentiality of being in a relationship. And to me, this is what the perfected society aspect moving into that is all about, I think. So I'm happy to be a part of your community and join in, and whatever that's going to do, whatever that, because I want to start doing the hugs and handshakes. I've been talking about this for a while, going on the road and doing seminars and all that kind of stuff, because I think everybody here is Piscean, so you still have that feel of like, yeah, I want to meet you in person. I want to shake your hand. I want to take pictures. That's still a big part of our communities. So I think that the online communities is the precursor, and then you just kind of squirrel out into these live positions. So
And it's been that way for a while, I think. Like it's, in my opinion, it's been a world of meeting people online first and then eventually in
it
person.
has, yeah, you're right.
It's been that way for for some time, I feel. And I think like there's just the difficulty is curating the experience or the knowing of, are these the people that I want to interact with? So for example, that's why these things that are like religious based do very well. Like when there's like a dating website for people that are Christians or something, you know, that's where you see the success, because they're kind of narrowing down what it is that um, what they both agree on as their overarching value system, you
Mm-hmm.
know? So that's the point of like this particular project is, we are conscious beings and we live in a world of clear censorship, and obviously a lot of these social platforms, they are inundating you with ads and a shit interface. Like let me just be real here. I'll let everyone know that my platform, it will have no ads.
Well, that's big.
It also has no algorithm.
Mm.
There's also no likes,
Why did you not use an algorithm?
because I wanted to make an experience where you curate your experience as you wish.
Oh, okay.
The way an algorithm works is it will show you things in a sequence that will go from violence to something really cute, like a little dog, you know, like, or like a cat video. And then it will display to you something like horrific or like something that really makes you sad. And like it'll be some video of like war. And then it will then display to you. So it's controlled. It's controlled by the platform. And then you click on a couple things. And then based on the couple things you click or that you say into your phone or you say during a conversation you're having,
Mm.
it then takes that and it feeds it into the system, which they will show you to give you the
Uh-huh.
advertisements.
Yep.
So fuck that. That's toxic. I think that world is destroying people. It's making it so that your relationship with your device is becoming like no different than a crack pipe. And they know what they're doing. The people who run the world know that.
Mm-hmm.
So if I was going to make it, I wanted to make it in a way where there's nothing that's making you have a quote unquote addictive experience with the platform that we're building.
Okay.
And we're removing these quote unquote meaningless interactions like emojis and likes.
Mm,
And that's a very big risk for me for making this project, because a lot of people, they rather not comment, they rather not engage, they rather just give a thumbs up, and there's
sure.
nothing wrong with that. But what I want to create is genuine connections. So we've created a thing called quoting as well, which is kind of like a resharing of other people's posts, but then you could share your thoughts. So there's a sharing function for sure, and there's a reply function. And we just built out one of the most epic like reply thread systems. So it looks incredible. Like it's hard to even talk about, but getting back to the point, no ads. So when you get to our platform, 100% of the screen is real people sharing real stuff.
Mm.
When you go to X right now, you only get about like 40% of the middle of the screen, because the rest of the screen is dedicated
Ads.
to
Yeah.
ads.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you go to Facebook, it's 40% of the screen
Yeah.
and then the rest is dedicated to
Yep.
ads. So we won't have that.
Yep. Marketing.
It's
Marketing. Marketing. Marketing.
it'll be so it'll feel so pure for once. Like it'll almost feel like the good old days.
Sure.
And speaking of the good old days, I created basically like a rejuvenated version of like the forum, the old school forum, which a lot of people now, when they think of forums, they think of things like Reddit. So we have a component like that too. So that's going to be built into groups, and essentially every group will have its own forum. And that's really cool, because if you had like a Decode Your Reality group, for example, inside of the platform, that could be a container for those particular discussions, so it doesn't leak out everywhere.
Nice.
It's really cool that we, and a lot of people, they're getting used to stuff like Discord and Telegram, which is chaos, and it makes for arguments and conflict.
Mm.
And that's really unfortunate, because we don't want a space of conflict. Like it's not about censoring people, but we definitely do not want a world where it's just arguing and bickering. Like
Totally.
we want to build together. So there's just so much to talk about with it, bro. Like, I mean, I don't want to hijack our
No,
conversation with the platform.
I think people. I think this is. A
I
great
feel a
thing.
little
It's not-
bad because I didn't intend on
No, dude, I asked you, man. So I'm great. I'm happy to listen, and I think a lot of other people are ready for that kind of stuff. And you know, I want to just throw this idea, because I've been wanting to do this, and this may be the collaboration that I was looking for. But so in a deck of cards, there's 52 of them, matching the 52 weeks of the year. And my idea was is to create roundtables of people that have the same suit. Now, I've already kind of done that with our community in our Discord, but I don't spend a lot of time on there, so the traction has been very minimal. But the idea is to get, if you're like Jordan, you're a diamond, right? So the idea is to get all 13 cards, the ace through the king, at one roundtable. And now you become part of that group. And then all the spades, and then all the hearts, and then all the clubs. And once we get all 4 of the suits in the round tables of 13, then we can start to have live events. And no one's ever done this. This is something that is absolutely brand new with the card system. And obviously the tarot fits right into that. But the idea is, I feel, it is a round table of 13 where it's a connected circuit. So you're making circuits with people, and then you sit at the same table as the people that, like, if you're a diamond, then you sit at the table with the diamonds, and 4 tables, and the groups are small, so it's like a Studio 54 setting where you have a couple facilitators, the 52 people, or 53 with the Joker, and the facilitator, and then you come to this group and we start doing stuff that you would do at the seminar there. And I've been wanting to do this idea for a long time. So I'm just waiting to plug it in to somebody's platform, or at least share it on somebody's platform, to where we can all benefit from that. So it's kind of my idea, and I've been talking about this for a long time. Some people know that I've been talking about this for a while. So it's kind of
it sounds epic. Like
niche.
the thing that I learn is, like, everything that we want to build, we also have to realize, like, it's you have a person who needs to build it, like a programmer.
Sure.
And that's the one thing that I've learned a lot along the way. It's like every little idea is an investment.
Yep.
The idea is great, but then to invest into it is the other, maybe a little bit more difficult part. So yeah, man, I mean, taking all of that into account, there's so much room for these awesome ideas that everyone has to be brought into this world, but it's knowing how to organize it, it's knowing how it fits in, and then it's knowing how much the investment is. Because to do it that's what actually makes making websites so simple now, is you just use Wix or whatever,
Yeah.
and it kind of just does everything for you. But in that world, you get no control. You're very limited, and you can't really do these really intricate things without, again, knowing how to code. So, yeah, man, like it's been a whole new world for me where I went from like looking at people's websites or whatever things that were already built, and there's an initial judgment of like, why do they do it this way? Or like, why would, but then you start building it for yourself and you start going through that experience and like, dude, just to create a reply feature is unbelievable amount of effort. Like when you build things from scratch,
Sure.
it's wild to see the process.
I
So
bet, man. I bet the
yeah,
software.
one thing that's interesting for your idea is like you should learn how to prototype your idea in something like Figma, for example. Get it into a world where coders can see it, because otherwise you'd have to pay a lot of money to get a designer, like a web designer,
Right.
that puts it into an understandable language for the coders. So I can help a lot with that, bro.
Oh, cool.
With talking
Well,
about, because I've been doing the process now with a team of people for like 10
Oh
months.
yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, I'm at that stage now. I actually created carousels with After Effects. So I animated imagine a round table. You're looking at it from a 3-dimensional space, and all the cards are at the table, and it just spins. So they're all 13 cards are at that table. So I have all the 4 suits in animation.
Nice. So
Yeah.
it's like a casino vibe or something?
Yeah, it's like a casino vibe, but it's
Yeah, that's cool.
the people are the cards, and so I feel like this is going to be kind of a really cool niche, and I want to do it like a Studio 54 thing, where it's exclusivity, and there's only 53 people that can come in, no more, no less, and it's going to take a lot of people because we're so spread out over the calendar, so to get everybody in the same suit at a table can be challenging. So it needs a lot of numbers. It's a numbers. It needs the more people that join, the easier it's going to be to put these groups together. So, yeah.
Yeah, man, let's definitely chat more about it for sure. Like the closer that I get for launch, I get more clarity. But my next 3 weeks are going to be 100% dedicated into getting this ready. Like there's so many new ideas that we have that we're trying to input, and yeah, bro, I think in April we could definitely dedicate some time to talk more about your about what you're doing, or at least how I can help you.
Yeah,
I'm always down to help.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Well, I mean, I already have plans to do a live seminar, and we're gonna do Spotlight's been great, but I want to start getting it in person. So that's the next stage of evolution. And I'm in the midst of ready to move into that space. So I'm pretty jazzed about that.
Amazing.
Yeah. So it's pretty cool. We got a little bit time left. I know we're closing in on 2 hours. What else should we kind of end this chat with and talk about? You have any other topics you want to discuss? Maybe shift it to something else.
Yeah, man, we talked a lot about like a whole plethora of things. Like
We did. Yeah, we did. Yeah.
I'm trying to think.
Any numbers stick out for you? We covered the fire horse. We covered the snake last year. We covered the potentiality of the war, the number of the beast, the number 68. I don't know. Does anybody in the comment section here have a topic that you'd want us to finish off this presentation with, this podcast with?
I'm freed up for a little longer than the next 10 minutes. So if anyone has any questions, maybe we could interact with the chat a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I have
If there's anything specific.
I got about another half hour to go because I have a client call in about a half hour. So
perfect.
Let me see. Matchmaking. So, well, that's in the works, Rainbow. So Rainbow's asking, please do a matchmaking site. I've already been approached by somebody that has a dating site. And I'm going to say this really loosely because I don't know where it's going to go. I had a very long conversation with him and somebody else, and they already have a dating platform, and they were interested in taking the Spotlight course and kind of embedding it into their site. And it hasn't gone anywhere yet, but I know it's going to go somewhere because I feel like it's a big thing. I saw some comments of some people in here. No, dating is going to get you sucked back into the light and all that stuff. I can tell you right now, ladies,
What?
whoever, I don't know the comment. It's somebody talking about the Matrix. Well, I can tell you, man, dating's not going anywhere. So if you're somebody who doesn't do it, I mean, I don't. But if you're somebody who doesn't do it, doesn't mean that the majority of the world is going to say, yeah, I'm not going to do it just because you say that it's a trap. And I've already talked about the love
Literally, like
trap.
the most important thing on earth is curing loneliness.
Sure. Well, there's a difference between being alone and loneliness, but I get it, right? So, love's not going anywhere. It's really not. Dating's not going
Not
anywhere.
even love, just being with somebody
Being with somebody.
that's yeah, and all that comes with that.
Yep.
Yeah,
I think a
I mean,
platonic for me, platonic relationships should be the backbone. And then, because for me, this is my take on it, right? I think once sex gets introduced, it changes the relationship. If you didn't have sexual intercourse, if intimacy, you'd have a platonic relationship. And I think the dynamics are much different before you introduce the sex. That's a thing. And it's not a popular thing because most people, when you have chemistry with them, you get horny and you want to have sex, and that's just the way it is, right? But I still think there's power in being platonic. I really do. I think it's a lifestyle. Can you do it? Can everybody do it? Well, if you got chemistry with somebody, that's the percentages are not in your favor.
yeah.
They're just not. So I don't think love and sex is going anywhere. That's how we all got here. That's how the world keeps going. So it's never going to end.
I saw this statistic a couple days ago, and it is sort of part of this. Unfortunately, it's part of this conversation, but it was like in the United States of America, women that are between the ages of 20 and 30, so just call it your 20s, 20% of the white female population is on OnlyFans.
Wow, really?
And that shit blew my fucking
So
mind.
give those stats again. What were the stats?
It's specifically white females in the United States of America in their 20s. 20% of them have an OnlyFans.
Wow, that's staggering, those numbers.
And between the ages of like 18 to 20, so legal age, and 25 is like 14%.
Wow. That's high,
So,
man. That says
I mean,
a
they're
lot.
numbers, but like there are the revenue numbers for OnlyFans and like how they've grown since C19 scam, and it's unbelievable. So when you when you plug in the numbers of like how much revenue is generated versus per region, like in per country, and then you plug it into the fact that it's mostly females, and then you plug it into the fact that it's mostly that particular age demographic, and you basically do prove the stats.
That's fascinating, dude.
Now I bring this up because people say that they like love being lonely and shit, and like how great it, and I'm not trying to throw shade at anyone, but like the statistics are in favor of like, well, you can't get rid of the fact that like people do have a sex drive and like they do want to, like the amount of porn consumption is unbelievable.
Oh, yeah.
And even the divorce rate is unbelievable too. So there's a lot going on, and I try to like wrap my head around it because I'm in a position where I've committed to like making this platform that I'm making, and I very much feel like it's an extension of the growth of what I'm doing, and I want to bring people together. And if I was to just completely try to disregard the possibility for romantic partnerships happening out of that experience, then I'd be stupid.
Totally.
So instead of disregarding it completely, I've just integrated it to be like, I know it's going to happen anyways, but I need to create some kind of governance behind it because it's my platform at the end of the day. It's going to be legal, privacy policy, terms of services. I got to get lawyers involved, et cetera, right?
Yep.
So I've done my due diligence to make it so our platform will be 18 plus. So there will be nobody under the age of 18. That was our first way on the legal side, being like, let's get out of that mess. Hurts the business, but it definitely supports, like, we're not trying to be that type of, that's fucking, that could get a little weird. But beyond that, now I'm thinking to myself, like, look at the way people use the internet. It's clear, like, the way people are using the internet now is to try to find people.
Hmm.
Like, and a big part of finding people is finding a romantic relationship.
Yep.
And because it's now bypassing people wanting relationships and they're going straight to porn, then it's almost making the people that are saying they love being single and like they like that lifestyle. I don't know, bro. Like I feel like I might be going in a couple of different angles here and I might get confusing, but the point is that like hormones are hormones. It's very real. The data's clear, and perhaps by making things where people actually want to make romantic relationships with real people, it will prevent the growth of this kind of like OnlyFans slash porn world that just continues to expand more and more.
Well, yeah, and let's
That's
talk.
the thesis, at least.
Sure. I mean, it's a good working theory. I mean, think about why it's happening. I mean, the generation that's doing that is essentially hand given a lot of things. The ease of doing things. What the technology has done, obviously, has made things easier. You can connect in a split second. Like I told you, back when I grew up, if you're in the car and the song comes on the radio, who sings this song? Oh my God, I love this song. Who sings it? I don't know. Come on, man. Somebody knows what it is. Nobody knows. You got to wait to get home and then call the radio station if you're lucky. There's no internet to dial up and ask AI who sings that song. There's no Shazam. So now we have everything's at your fingertips, and now 5G coming in. There's no waiting. There's no lag on your cell phone like there was 10 years ago. And so everything's fast, everything's speeding up, everything's at the drop of a hat, everything's in the palm of your hands. And now you get the generation, this age bracket, where it's easy money. It's easy to go, and you don't have to leave your house. You don't have to spend gas. You do it right in your little room, and you just collect money online. Everything is done digitally, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can see why the statistics are as high as it is. I mean, the porn industry, I just looked it up. It's $100 billion a year. I mean, that's insane. That's insane numbers.
Holy moly.
That's insane numbers. And that's probably being conservative. I think it'd probably be higher than that. And that just should tell you what the collective mindset is on. The collective's mindset is on, I'm horny and I want to get some. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. And that's how we got here. We got here because two people were attracted to each other. They humped and they made you. And without that action, without that horniness, you wouldn't be here. So instead of being negative about it, you should be grateful, right? I think there's gratitude in that. Like I'm all about celibacy and, love is the trap. But I'm not going to go into that, right? But that's how my perception of reality is. It's not cookie cutter. And I've said this explicitly so many times in my community. My life is not cookie cutter. Don't follow my life because I say that I'm doing this and doing that. I'm celibate right now. It's not cookie cutter. It's not cookie cutter because the majority of people are not celibate. So it's all about what you are living out through your life. And for me, I personally think that love is not going anywhere because the game needs players. And as the game needs players, people are going to hump. Because, that they got to make babies,
Technically,
man.
yes.
Yeah, technically,
Correct.
yeah. I mean, you can do the artificial insemination, but I do you see that becoming a thing where people are not going to, I mean, as long as people are young and they have a sex drive and they go through the hormonal changes, they're going to hump and have sex and they're going to want to get off and orgasm and make babies. And that's just the way it is. And I just, if you remove that, humanity ceases to exist. So I don't think dating's going anywhere. I was on the seminar circuit and it was all about money. And number 2 was love. Yeah. Love was behind money. Money is the number one driver and you could probably interchange them. But lovemaking and sex is the reason why it feels good. There's a reason why orgasms are one of the greatest feelings in the world because that's what makes human beings. And that's not going anywhere. So, you don't have to agree with that. You can live a life of celibacy and not have a partner. But I think that people, they get bored and they get lonely, as you say. I think there's a difference between being alone and lonely. But
can you break that down a little bit more for the people that are curious? What you're like? How do you delineate
the alone and lonely? Alone and lonely? Well, I mean,
Sure.
I've been alone. I've been by myself since 2018. I've been celibate for almost 5 years, and I'm not lonely. I'm alone, meaning I'm by myself, but I'm not lonely. I don't require someone to give me attention to feel good about myself. I don't need to hold someone's hand to feel good about myself, right? I don't need to cuddle with somebody to feel good about myself. Now, if I did that, of course, if I went and hung out with somebody and there's chemistry, what does that lead to? Essentially, it probably will lead to sex, because unless you're just being in a friendship with somebody, and that means you're not attracted to them. I think attraction and chemistry has a lot to do. That means you're horny. When you say, oh, we have chemistry, we should just say, I'm horny for you, because that's what it means. That's what chemistry is. We have great chemistry. Yeah, when are we going to have sex? Because that's what I'm horny for you. That's what chemistry is. So I think having a platonic relationship is the ultimate, but can you stay in that position? Well, if there's no horniness involved, sure. And that depends on what season you're in as well. I talked about this live last night. I'll leave you with this, and I'll yield to you and ask you what your thoughts are on that. But I talked about this. I was very vulnerable, very transparent. And I said, for me, right, we got the semen retention thing, and a lot of you here are like, I'd rather not have the headache of being in a relationship. That's part of why I'm not in one. There's no drama. You can control the drama in your life to a certain degree.
There's no drama.
There's no drama, right? I'm guaranteed not to have drama with that because I don't have the relationship. But anyway, for me, I feel like sex drive is the devil inside of you. Like when you get horny, what ends up happening as a human being when you get horny, you start looking. You start maybe going on Instagram looking at pictures. You might go to porn. Some of you look at porn all the time, right? Whatever it is, I'm not judging, right? But for me, when I get the desire, I just go release. I go get rid of it. Because then I notice a big difference. Like I have no shame. I don't care, right? It's a part of life. You get rid of the desire, and when you get rid of the desire, because you know what happens when you have the desire? I get distracted. Right? I want to be creating videos and I want to help people. What's my ultimate desire? My Rahu's in Sagittarius. I want to help you. I want to help you have the best life possible. Well, if I have a distraction, right, then I can't do that to a certain degree, right? Because now I have to pay attention to that distraction, right? Now, I get there's benefits from that. So we're going to talk about the benefits. Great. But I'm just talking about my mission in life is to help people and to put myself in that position ultimately is to not have distractions in my life. So when my horniness comes, right, I still have a sex drive. I mean, I'm 53, but I'm not in the toilet with my testosterone. I just get rid of it. I release, I get rid of it, and now I go right back to my merry way, and I'm back to creating, and now there's no distractions. And I've tested this to where when I have someone approach me, when I have people come at me, whatever, I notice the distraction. And I know why they're coming at me, because they want to get some, right? They want to. I mean, yeah. I'm telling you, if a woman of the opposite sex comes at me and try, I already like 9 out of 10 times I know what it's for, unless it's you want a reading or you want to have a conversation with me because you're interested in the information. Okay, there's that. But I'm saying is I know when you're horny. I already know that, right? Because I experience the same thing, and sometimes there's refrain that has to happen, where I'm not engaging because it leads, you start looking, lust, you start looking. And then the next thing is I'm going to go on a dating site, or I'm going to make a phone call, or I'm going to text them. I'm going to send them a message. It's just flirting. But what your intention is, you want to get some, right? So that's a big thing. So I feel like when you release and you get rid of it, it's kind of like, what happens when you're a dude and you have an orgasm, you're like, you're like, want to go to sleep, right? Because you're not distracted anymore. The intention is not about, I want to get some. So when you remove that from your life, you remove a piece of drama, because it's like, if you're in a relationship, your partner is probably going to expect that you celebrate Valentine's Day. And if you don't, you're going to hear about it. They're going to give you shit. You didn't buy me a present. You're going to be in the doghouse. You're going to be sleeping on the couch. Go do that next Valentine's Day. Don't ignore Valentine's Day and see how your relationship goes that day. You're going to be in the shitter. So it's drama, man. So I'm saying for me, this long-winded message, it's removing the desire and then removing the drama. and living a life, not drama free, because I still have my own personal issues, but the big layer of relationships is drama. Does that mean I'm never going to get into a relationship ever again? I don't know. Because I personally feel like I'm not in control of my life. I'm living through fate and destiny. So if that's what calls for, but I know what I'm getting into at that point. I kind of know what I'm getting into. It's like when you know that you're going to be distracted, are you going to be okay with that? Because when you get into a relationship, they demand your attention, which is part of the relationship. And we use each other. You know, like when you have sex, you can have sex by yourself. It's called masturbation. But when you have sex with somebody, you use them because you have to put that thing somewhere, right? And you use each other's body. When you cuddle and you get oxytocin, you use each other for the raising of oxytocin. When you hold hands, you use each other for the feeling that you get of holding hands and cuddling, right? This is the commonality, or not the commonality, this is the common sense logic that I use about relationships in real life, right? That's just how it is. And there's nothing bad about it. So before any of you start judging what I'm saying, like, oh, Logan, you're traumatized, or no, it has nothing to do with that. It's my code. I'm just being real about it. I'm having the conversation about it and talking about it.
You've also been open about your past experiences, right?
Of course, I've been married 3 times. So I definitely did the relationships. I definitely did the commitments, right? And I'm not ashamed of, I've been to prison. I've been open, like the dirt, all of you know my dirt. And you just now know that when I get horny, I release. You just now know more dirt on me, if you want to call it dirt. I don't really care. Like, it's a part of life. I'm being strategic about my position in life, right? That's just really what it's all about, is having the strategy in life. So if you're somebody who's in a relationship, just know that you use your partner and they use you, and that's just the way it is. It's kind of maybe a very direct way of approaching it, but that's essentially what we do. We use each other. When you have a friend that's funny, oh my, why are you friends with that person? Oh my God, they're so funny. So you use them so you can get a laugh. Of course, that's what you do, right? Like, what do I use you for, Jordan? Well, for your wisdom and your knowledge and, what you share with your community. I'm not doing it to manipulate you. I'm merely just being authentic with, like, yeah, man, you're my friend because I get something from you. I get knowledge, right. Wisdom. I get useful, like you call it, utility. Mm-hmm. I love using that word. You use that a lot. You give me utility. Yep. That's what you give me. You give me a sense of utility in my life. And then I get to watch you do what you love doing. And I get an emotional reaction to that. I'd rather put my emotions in that than the mainstream. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, I'll yield because I've been ranting and raving on this. And probably giving a big disruption in the chat. So, anyway, what are your thoughts? Where do you want to go with that?
No, I mean, like, one of my takes on relationships, because you unpacked a lot. You unpacked a lot of different things, and you're super vulnerable. And one thing that I guess part of my philosophy with regards to relationships is that most people don't actually have a relationship. Even the thing they're calling a relationship, they have an experiment. And in an experiment, you're like the white lab coat. You determined what is like the ultimate purpose of it under your fine print, your terms of conditions and privacy policy that you've kind of drawn up throughout your past experiences, your level of maturity, or perhaps your desires, perhaps your goals. And throughout that, you're the one who gets to determine those variables and those controls, right? Sure. And that's what most people treat. That's how most people treat everybody, whether it be a sexual relationship or it be a relationship with their mother, father, or a relationship they have with their kids, or a relationship they have with a friend, coworker, boss, etc. Yep. Most people are not actually in relationships. They don't attempt to relate. Mm-hmm. They don't have their mission statement shared as let's relate, or understand how we could relate to each other in some capacity. Hence, the experiment creates the things called arguments and fighting and conflict. Don't you notice, like, you and I have met a couple times, we've talked, about everything. We've had like 100 fucking podcasts together. Have me and you ever gotten to an argument?
No. Well, we've always had this level of respect, not agreeing upon everything, cookie cutter, but we've always had a mutual
Well,
respect.
how about
So,
this? It's because we allow each other.
well, sure, sure.
So the first thing I ever told you during a podcast was love is allowing.
Oh yeah.
I don't have any desire to control you.
Well, with that point in mind, Jordan, I think, and this doesn't have to be cookie cutter, but
Hmm.
I personally feel that, you and I are not intimate, and I never would because I don't go that way. I don't think there's any, if you go that way,
Right.
it's
So
totally.
you're throwing in that additional layer
I'm
of like I
saying
get where
when you have sex with somebody, man, it changes a lot of the dynamics
I
of the
feel you.
relationship. That's what it
I
does.
feel I
I don't know
feel you,
any other way.
but I don't think that changes this point. There's plenty of people that have sex with somebody and they have an experiment, and that's maybe even a messier experiment.
Sure.
And there's more control, there's more dominance, there's more like role play, and it kind of like it in some ways might be the only reason some people keep something going.
Yeah.
I've seen plenty of these relationships. People come to me for the coaching and they're like, the only thing we have is that, you know? But then when
Sure.
it comes time to doing all the other things, they don't have a relationship. So, but getting back to like my kind of overarching philosophy here, and we could break it down more as we go, it's like I just think what most people are calling a relationship, it's actually an experiment.
That's a pretty philosophical way to put it. I like it though.
And I would say 95, if not 97, maybe even higher percentage. And I think if you want something called marriage, no offense to anybody, but if you desire the thing called marriage, then you're asking for the experiment to get more complicated. But you're not going towards the path of what I would call a relationship.
Sure.
In order to have a relationship, you could not possibly have this additional contract and government oversight and, making it more legal and more binded by these things that are matrix level. And that's not me saying I'm against marriages for you or for anyone who's listening to me. But when you now involve a kid, you make the experiment more complicated. You add more variables, you add more controls, and doesn't make it become a relationship. So a lot of people they make these big decisions like I'm going to share a bank account, we're going to get a house, we're going to have a kid, we're going to get married, we're going to do this, we're going to do even maybe the decision to go from dating to calling the other person your boyfriend or girlfriend. My process of like how I could help people and how I've navigated this realm is I ask myself, am I in an experiment or am I in a relationship? So because I have this wisdom and I operate from this kind of posture, my spine is correct. Like I know how I feel when somebody is trying to treat me like they're experimenting with me.
Sure.
And I also know when I have relationships, but I also realize that I only have really one relationship, and it's with myself. And I have to do my best to kind of navigate the world of like I am projecting. There's an identity that I have. There's a way I carry myself. There's a way that I talk to other people, etc. But how do I treat them? How do I listen to them? How do I make them feel seen? So you've said a couple of times that you're not in a relationship and this, that, and the third, but it's like you actually are in a relationship and it's with this whole community. You give a lot of your time, a lot of
Sure.
your love, a lot of your energy, a lot of your wisdom, you make so many people feel seen. And in that way, I know you're not experimenting with them, but you have these things that you, of course, use to understand the people in your circle better, to understand everyone better. And those experiments along the way are important because it's part of the test, and we're all testing each other. We're all part of a test,
Yeah.
right? Not just in school. One of the tests could be loyalty. That's a very important test to pass.
Sure.
If you have someone treating you one way in person, but then behind your back they're acting a different way, then you're going to get something's going to happen in your stomach, which makes you feel uneasy. It'd be the same concept of finding out that your partner's cheating on you.
Yeah.
Why? So many people, when they're cheated on, they immediately feel like they feel so destroyed, and it's very difficult to adjust your spine to be like, well, they just weren't like, I wasn't the one for them, and they were experimenting with me, and now they need to experiment with someone else to confirm something that they were already pretty aware that they were not in alignment with me on,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Hence it would never happen in the first place. So there's so much to unpack here. There's so much to talk about, but I think my way of simplifying things a lot for me and for whenever I'm like, like what you said before, like I'm always trying to bring utility to the whole thing. It's like to simplify it and bring the most utility. I just think about, am I in a relationship or am I in an experiment? And most of the time, I'm usually experimenting. And it took until that awareness to be like, oh shit, I got to be real with myself and call that out. And I may have to tell the other person that that's how I'm being too.
Mm.
And that's going to make them feel like shit. That's going to make them feel that way.
Sure.
And when you do that, then you have to be confronted. So my whole new path on life is like, I don't even give my energy to shit unless I'm ready for a relationship with it.
Yep.
You feel me?
Totally feel you, man. I totally
There's no
feel you.
room for a friend if I'm not ready to have a relationship. There's no room for any, like there's no room for a new hobby if I'm not ready for a relationship with it.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
So
I look at it like this. I'm a strategist. I'm a life strategist, right? I think everyone here is that same exact way. And I've used this analogy before, and I'm going to use it again. The simplicity of it is, if you, and I used it last night, if you want to get a dog or a cat, a puppy or a little kitten, mostly, or if you go rescue, you're probably guaranteed to watch it die. You're going to have to bury it, cremate it, probably spend a lot of money on the vet bills, all the things that you don't pay attention to, but you're probably going to outlive that animal. And there's a lot of emotional distraught that goes into that. People, they lose their shit when their pet dies. They go through this emotional roller coaster when their pet dies. And if you ask them, hey, would you sign up for that the next time? Hell no, I wouldn't do that. Of course not. So it's like Steve Jobs said, everybody wants to go to heaven. No one wants to die to get there. So my point is that strategically, when I'm looking at a relationship now, right? And I have a lot of friends that come to me, been this way my whole life. Hey, wanting my advice? What do you think I should do here? Oh my, and it's always about they're fighting. And I just see all the nightmare stuff, right? Like the drama. And I remind myself how fortunate I am to not be in that situation, because drama in relationships is such a daunting emotional roller coaster that it sucks you dry like a vampire. So the whole dog and cat situation is the same with the relationship. The next time you want to start dating somebody, it's a guarantee that you will have drama in the relationship. Now I know you'll justify it and say, well, that's part of growth, and I'd rather grow without the drama, personally, for me. And it's not cookie cutter, right? So it's not for everybody. Yeah. But I'm saying is if you want to go get a dog or a cat, you're going to bury it. You're going to have to go through that emotional roller coaster. So are you still open to get the dog and cat? And a lot of you say, I don't care. And then you get to that position where they're going to have to bury or cremate it, and they're freaking out and they're losing their shit, and they're depressed, and they're like, well, how you feeling now? At the different tune at that point. Say, so if you want to get the dog or cat, just know that you're going to bury it. Probably it's not going to outlive you. And it's the same with the relationship. If you get into a relationship with somebody and you start having intimacy, you will have drama. It's part of the equation. So if you don't want the drama, don't get into the relationship. And so that's where my point is. And my position is that I've been drama free for so long, and I like it that way, right? I've grown exponentially without a relationship. Now that, again, it doesn't mean I'm never going to get into another one, right? Because I'm open, right? But that's my whole philosophy on it, is I'd rather put my energy into my community to help people and be drama free, because when I'm drama free, I'm at my best. I wake up, I have no one to answer to. I have no one to, I don't have to worry about Valentine's Day, Christmas. I don't have to worry about your birthday and buying anything for you. I don't have you nagging at me because I didn't do something that you wanted me to do. I get to focus on my community and help people live out their lives. And it's kind of a paradox, right? Because I know a lot of you are going to have to hear the nagging and the drama because you're in the relationship. And I'm promoting your life I'm supporting it no matter what. So it's a big paradox.
Oh my gosh.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's true. It's true, dude. I support people's lives that are in love. But if you're going to get into that relationship, just remember, it comes with drama. And I know you wouldn't check off the box. None of you will say, you know what? I want a relationship where I'm going to have a lot of drama. I want a relationship where I'm going to call the police in 2 years and get a restraining order on that person, because a lot of you have. So I just think it's kind of funny that you wouldn't sign up for that, but there's no guarantee that it won't come into your life. But there is a guarantee that it won't happen if you don't get involved in the relationship. That's my whole take on it. So it's not for everybody. It's not a popular way to look and live out life. And I did the opposite 3 times. I've been in long-term relationships. I know what it feels like to be in love. It's the greatest feeling in the world, but it's the worst feeling in the world when you break up and leave and walk away. So it's like, which one is it? Which one do you want? And I say people don't use critical thinking. You know, when we grew up, and I'll say this and I'll yield to you. Growing up as high school, you want to start dating. I broke my virginity at 17, you know, and then it was just lights out from there. Then it's moving into that. And what do? You want to look, I want to get married because that's what mom and dad did, right? I want to get married and have kids. I want to get a house and have a white picket fence. And where's the logic in critical thinking? There isn't any. It's monkey see, monkey do. That's why the game of life will never end. Because you could tell kids all day long, make sure you're careful. Oh yeah, whatever. I know what everything, right? So the game of life continues because children are not having the same kind of mindset as you. They have to figure it out, right? Through this fate and destiny. Anyway, I'm going to yield there.
Yeah, bro, you reminded me of something. Like one of the most important like moments in my consciousness expansion was I was traveling a lot and I had a dog. I don't even know if that's the right way to put it. Like my dog had me. I don't know, but I had a Siberian Husky named Sasha,
Ooh,
and I got
beautiful.
her when she was like 3.5, 4 weeks old, and I was able to get her so early because my mom was a veterinarian technician. So like we were legally allowed to, like in the state of New Jersey where I was living at the time, it wasn't legal for you to get a puppy that early.
Okay.
But we were able to. So I got her from when she was like I could fit her in my palm, you know?
Wow. How many
And then
pounds
she
did
grew
she?
up to be,
How big did she get?
oh, I don't remember the exact, but probably like 45, 50, maybe not 50, but like she was big. She got big as they do, you know, that breed. Um, and I started traveling a lot, doing, you know, I did the crazy hitchhiking trip in Iceland when I had her. And long story short is that like I had to keep always like having somebody babysit her, you know?
Mm.
And I reached a point where um eventually like I realized it was like neglect. Like I wasn't even, it was like she was more like a trophy of mine. Like everywhere I would take her for a walk, everyone's
Attention.
talking to me.
Yeah.
They're like,
Yeah.
"Oh my God, if you want attention, get a fucking husky," you know?
Yeah.
And everyone was giving me all this prana and I would start so many awesome conversations because of her, and it was just so cool to go to the park and sit there with her and just everyone's like I was like a magnet, you
Sure.
know? And then I reached this level of maturity where I was like, but I don't, I care about doing all these other things more than her. I care about going to all of these places around the world. Obviously, it's very difficult to bring a dog with you on all these trips, you know, like it's logistically a nightmare.
Sure.
And I didn't even barely had the money to do it for myself. So I reached this breaking point where I was like, okay, I like need to give her up. I need to like give her away to somebody who actually loves her and cares about her and wants to spend all that time. And I eventually found somebody that loved um that that loved the dog and like was ready for her energy because you know huskies are crazy. They dig holes under your fence. They
Yeah.
escape. They're
Yeah.
wild, bro. Like they have no one, like on a volume knob of 1 to 11, they're
Yeah.
at 11. They're always at 11. They're at 11 at like 1 a.m. They're at 11 at 6 a.m. It's a wild breed and they always need a run. So it's very difficult to have that dog unless you're ready for that lifestyle. If you're somebody who has an apartment, don't get that dog because a general walk through the park is not enough.
Yeah.
Like they need to just run free. And I didn't really know any of that at the time. Like it was just about like I want this beautiful dog.
Yep.
I was immature. I can admit that, and I didn't understand the responsibility I was taking on. And to summarize the story, I found the perfect person for her because it was somebody who they had a good job, but their wife worked from home. So she was always home, always had somebody. They had a big backyard. It was awesome. I got very lucky. And they were friends of friends. So like it was somebody we could trust. And then it all went down. And then maybe 5 years later, I took a huge mushroom trip, like 6 grams of psilocybin, and during the peak of it, I can literally smell my dog.
Really?
Like I can smell her in like the pillow of my room. And I just started fucking crying, bro. Like it was like the most emotional release of all time for me. And I'll never forget that. Where I was like, what was like, how did this all like, I was confused. Like, why can't I let her go kind of feeling, you
Sure.
know? Like, why can't I let that go? And the whole start of the relationship was immature. Like, the
Sure.
whole purpose of it starting was dumb. I just wanted a dog, you
Right.
know?
Right.
And I didn't really think about like how connected the whole experience was and how important it was and the responsibility, you know?
Sure.
And so like yeah, bro, like when I went through that whole thing, it taught me like how important it is to really know what it is that you're signing up for.
Yep.
And like how important this other being is, this sentient being that has its own kind of like yeah, man. It just makes me emotional thinking about it. But that
I
that
bet.
that changed my life, bro. Like that changed my life and it changed the way that I interacted with people moving forward. It changed the way that I looked at other people's
Mm.
relationship with stuff because I could determine like who was in it for the right reasons and who was in it for the reason that I was once in it,
Hmm.
which was just about like having this little thing around to serve you, you know?
Yep.
When really it was so much deeper than that. This thing is like a spiritual companion
Oh
in a
yeah.
way.
They're like little
Like
angels,
it
man. Furries are angels.
100%,
Yep.
100%, bro. So, but what that caused for me is like maybe I don't know if like we're going too deep right now, but I think maybe that caused something like that with you where like I don't ever want another dog.
I get it, man.
Like I don't ever want another dog because I'm just like I had my dog. She was the fucking greatest thing ever. I had like my emotional release. I had my growth. I learned what a real relationship is, not an experiment. Like I learned through it being an experiment into
Yeah.
a relationship. And I don't regret it. I don't none of that experience was bad. It was wholesome, you know?
Yep.
But then looking back at it, I'm like, there were so many things that I didn't think about. Like she has to use the bathroom when I say so. She has to eat when I say so.
Yeah.
She gets to exercise when I say so.
Yep.
Then the conversation takes a dark turn.
I get it, man. I totally feel you, bro. And again, this is why your story fits kind of the narration of what I've been saying, where, you went through all that, and yeah, it was your fate and destiny, obviously, but now it's like I don't want to do it again because that feeling sucks, like, and everything else under the sun that you felt. But we had a lot of people in the chat here and a lot of comments, and I don't know. I know Jordan would even say the same thing. Just remember, ladies and gentlemen, and I'll just use your analogy or your story, your real story. If you took 100 people out of this chat or everybody in this chat and you got to go through the same thing Jordan went through, there will be some of you that would just be like, I'm just going to go get another dog. I'm ready to get another dog. And what you'll do is you'll justify that position of getting that other dog. So I'm doing the same thing. I'm justifying what I would do with my position of sex and desire and getting horny and chemistry, and then getting a pet and thinking of strategically, like, I'm going to have to put this thing down, or I'm going to bury it. I'm going to have to go through the cremation. I don't want to go through that. But a lot of you will go through it. So just remember that my opinion doesn't have to be yours. And then my experiences do not have to be yours. And Jordan's experience was for him, his individual story. And he now goes through his life with that experience. And all of you you're not going to say, I'm going to do the same thing that Jordan would do. I would do the same thing. So just remember, folks, this isn't your life. This is my cookie cutter truth, right? Your life is the only life that matters. You're this actor on the world stage, and what you project on the world stage and what you justify, it's for you. So when I say that, when Jordan says, I'm never going to get a dog again, that's his truth and for him. Not everybody here is going to agree with that, right? And it's the same with me. So I don't have a lot of popular things to say because it's not it's not, man. It's not. And I'm okay with that, right? But it's not cookie cutter. So when I tell you that relationships are drama, that is a fact. They are. But it doesn't mean that you should just do what I'm doing. And if you say, well, no, relationships are their growth and this and that, then you should move towards that for sure. Don't listen to what I got to say. And you're not going to anyway. But I think people in this chat, I think we're all grown up enough to admit that Your truth is the only truth that matters. Your experiences are made specifically for you, and we don't have to agree upon the same set of circumstances, right? Really, that's it. And my take on life may be different than yours, but we're all here
100%.
sharing this experience. And I think when you're grown up and you're mature, we can just agree to disagree. Like, we say this a lot, but really, there's a lot of meat and potatoes to that. Agreeing to disagree. I think there really is, honestly. So,
Yeah, brother. I mean, I think this is a perfect place to wrap this up.
Yep. I agree. We got a little, we got a lot of content tonight. We've gone over almost 2.5 hours now. So
Yeah, man. I mean, it was a very authentic conversation. Lots of vulnerability, lots of deep cuts, and I'm just grateful to share the space. Appreciate you.
yeah, same here, man. I'm super grateful, and thanks for sharing your mindset. I always value what you have to say, and and it's true. I always have ever since we got together for the first time, and I just knew that, you and I have very similar paths, but very diverse and very different paths at the same time. A complete
100%.
paradox, really.
Someone has to be a drummer, someone has to be a guitar player.
Yeah, man, that's a great analogy, dude. A great analogy. Yeah.
Like we're all in a band together. We're all in a fucking symphony, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great analogy, man. That really, really is. That's why I say we're DJs of life, man. So I really like that analogy a lot, because I feel like that's what we're doing. So what you're gonna do, ladies and gentlemen, you're gonna take a little bit of this, a little bit of that, of what Jordan said, what I said, maybe something you picked up on the chat, and you're gonna go and you're gonna maybe go prove somebody wrong. So you're gonna go do something tonight or tomorrow, so you can feel good about yourself. So you can prove me wrong or Jordan wrong or somebody wrong because they rubbed you the wrong way. But remember, it all comes down to, your life. You're the superstar in this reality, and I thoroughly mean that. That you are the most. I will leave you with this, and then Jordan, I would love to leave you with something. I say that you that are listening, you are the most important person living today. Out of 8 billion people, you are the most important person above anybody else. So your final answer is above and beyond anybody else's. And I think that you should go live your life like that. And that's it. Jordan, what do you got to say?
Just choose to respond instead of react.
Ooh, yeah.
I think once you put that as your focus,
Yeah.
then you start living instead of existing.
I like that, man. I like that. I think we do a lot of reactions instead of, I like that a lot. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to wrap this one up, man. It's been an honor and a pleasure. Jordan, did you know you're so crazy? I looked at the clock, 2 hours and 31 minutes, and your logo has the 2:30. Just want to let you know, I'll leave you with this. Your logo, the WA, the 23rd letter in the first letter, that's 231. And 231 is the isotope of protactinium, the 91st element, which means the first. I don't know what that's going to leave you with, or where you can go with that, but you do a lot of first stuff, so I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, bro, that means a lot. My name comes from the Book of Genesis, so
Yeah.
that's where I got the inspo. Shout out to the Greeks.
I love.
Shout out to the Bible.
I
homie.
love the Greek shit. I love the Greek stuff, man. Yeah.
Well, bro, like it was such a breath of fresh air to reconnect with you. I can't believe it's been 9 months.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
That's unbelievable. I can't accept that.
Yeah, no, I know, but I think it was that way the last time. I think we had a big gap in between last time.
Yeah.
So we got to get me,
man.
you,
Well,
and Jason on. We got to do us 3 again. That would be awesome. That's a lot of people have been asking.
We talked about that, but I got back in touch with, I forgot who it was. I think it was like Big John or something, and he said something about his schedule super packed. So if you guys want to make something happen in April, maybe that'll work out.
Yeah, I'll talk to him. Uh,
kind of like set it up far enough in advance to where we could lock in all of our schedules. And I would love to. I think it would be great.
yeah, it would be cool to add maybe somebody else. I don't know who. I've been thinking about this a while. Maybe a fourth person.
Mm.
I don't know. Maybe you have
Yeah, I know
somebody in mind.
everyone really wants us to get together with Santos, but it
He doesn't
seems
want
to
to.
be
He
that
doesn't.
that's not.
He don't want to
Yep,
do it.
yep.
Yeah,
No,
he
I get
doesn't want
that.
to do
I
it.
get that. And I've never spoken with Santos before, so anyone who's wondering, he's never spoke to me. I have no real idea about his personality. I've always wanted to because I've seen him, I've seen kind of the spectrum of his kind of energy, and I feel like I have my way of bringing people to certain energies and getting conversations to maybe be unique,
Yeah.
something that maybe we haven't seen, like a way to Santos that we haven't seen. But if he doesn't want to talk, then that's all good. I can't force anything on anyone. So I do hear that to be the most like common request.
Yeah, it
People
would
just
be
being like, "Can
awesome.
you get Santos?" But it doesn't. Yeah. So anywho, I don't know anyone personally who would vibe, but there has to be somebody that would want to do it. The only thing is, I think we would really need to have a dialed in, like we would need structure
Oh, for
because
sure, for sure,
four of us, it could get off the rails. So
for
yeah, bro,
sure.
I would love to, but
We,
I'm
I
gonna
mean,
run, brother. I have something coming up, and
yep,
let's reconnect soon. Text me whenever. I appreciate you. I appreciate every single one of you that's listening,
yep. Me
and
too.
much love, man.
Much love.